Head-to-head, it would be LSU here, but normally the committee opts to go with the higher-rated team, and thus it is Auburn with its 10-1 overall mark.
And you'll hear the chant, War Eagle,
from the Auburn backers. Florida State to receive. And at the goal line, that's Dexter Carter, a backup tailback who is stopped at the 15-yard line. Tackle is made by Darrell Crawford, and working the sidelines tonight is Lynn Swan. Lynn?
Thank you, Al. Before the game started, I talked with both coaches about what they tell their teams in the locker room. Pat Dye said he'd tell his team there are no miracle speeches to help you win, but if you play with determination and the class you've had all year, you'll be okay. Bobby Bowden said if they win tonight, it could make up for the loss they had to Miami where they were the sacrificial lambs, losing by 31. So this game could make Florida State's season. Al?
Al, did you tell him that we lost to Michigan?
Not yet. From the 16-yard line, this is Sammy Smith picking up 5 as he takes it out to the 21-yard line, and Smokey Hodge is in on the stop. Sammy Smith has had a disappointing season, and we'll take a look at the Florida State offense. Chip Ferguson is the quarterback. Smith is the tailback, back of the fullback Williams. Dorsey starts along with Anthony, and O'Malley is the tight end. Ronald Lewis would normally start, but he has a pulled hamstring. And there's their offensive line. Joe Ionata, a 3-year starter at strong tackle, and Pat Tomberlin, the excellent opposite number at the other tackle spot. From the 21-yard line on 2nd and 5, it's Smith to about the 24, and it will be 3rd down and 2 for Florida State. Now we'll look at the Auburn defense, and they've given up an average of only 7 points a game. All of those men are all-conference. Rocker, of course, is the Outland and Lombardi Trophy winner. The 4 linebackers, and they don't get the publicity because of the 3 guys up front, but they've done a great job. And the Auburn secondary, and you hate to call these guys the weak link, but if you can do anything on Auburn, or if their opponents have been able to do anything this season, it's been basically through the air, certainly not on the ground. But FSU stays on the ground, and Smith on his 3rd carry picks up a 1st down. So Florida State running right into Auburn's strength.
Auburn, of course, the #1 team defensively in the nation collegiately, and Sammy Smith, through he did have an off season. He was a Heisman candidate coming in, got off to a slow start, shoulder injury, rib injuries, but in the last 5 games he's put together over 500 yards of rushing, and he is capable on a given night to really pile it up. He had 212 yards against Tulane alone.
I think you have to look at that average, Frank, over 5 yards a carry.
Here's the play fake, and Ferguson will keep it, dances his way up to the 37-yard line. For a gain of about 8, John Wiley runs him out of bounds at that spot.
Good athlete, Ferguson. Took a look inside, saw nothing was happening there, broke it to the outside, and came up close to the 1st down.
We not only have a matchup here of 2 outstanding teams talent-wise, but I'm intrigued by the matchup of the 2 coaches. Pat Dye, who's really extremely conservative, likes to play it close to the vest. Of course, when he has a defense like he has, it's easier to do that. And his counterpart, Bobby Bowden, maybe one of the most outlandish coaches in the country as far as what he'll call, where he'll call it on the field. A great matchup of coaches.
And on 2nd and 2, here is Smith out to the 43. And the interesting thing here, Dan, at the outset is that they're running counter, or at least Bowden is, because he begins with a very conservative but effective attack and back-to-back 1st downs.
When you talk to him, he's like a medicine man, really. There he is, very colorful, and he is a fine football coach. 1987, he took this Florida State team up against Auburn, and he really trimmed them, 34-6, and he did it by running trap plays when Auburn was thinking run. He passed the ball a lot, and he always is coming up with a gimme play. You have to watch him all the time with the gimme plays.
At the 43, 1st and 10, Florida State. The fake to Smith. Ferguson protected well, throws, and it's dropped at the 45-yard line, and you don't see that often. Terry Anthony dropping it. Florida State with 4 receivers known as the Fabulous 4, but one of the foursome was not so fabulous right here.
Terry Anthony, 6 feet, 195 pounds. He was there, and the ball was right in there with him. Shan Morris up there defensively. That's the son of a former great Chicago Bear. I know you know, Dan, Larry Morris, who's here watching tonight.
That is a pass that Anthony just has to bring down, because you wonder, is Ferguson going to get that kind of protection all night long? There wasn't an Auburn defensive lineman within 3 yards of Ferguson when he threw the ball.
On 2nd and 10, Ferguson rolling, throwing, and at the 45, the catch is made for a first down by Anthony. So he drops one, comes right back and makes the reception, and Florida State begins with 3 consecutive first downs.
But again, look at the play calling. We had a sprint out the other direction by Ferguson. This time he breaks contain, moving to his right. They were effective running the ball. Terry Anthony, just a simple curl-up pattern, goes down for the ball. But I like the way that Florida State is running their offense. They established the run, 3 straight carries by Smith, then roll outs either direction, and it's working for them.
First down at the Auburn 45, and a nice hole for Smith. And a 4th straight first down to the 33-yard line. And again, keep in mind, it's the #1 rushing defense in the country, #1 in scoring, averaging only 7 points a game against them. And Florida State coming out very effectively on this first series.
Watch the double team right up front. Hayward Haynes, the left guard, just seals off the middle, blocking down on the nose tackle Benji Rowland, and then Sammy Smith, who a lot of people look at as a speed back, but keep in mind, this guy's 225 pounds, and a good illustration there that along with that speed, Smith has power to go with it.
How about 10-3 for the 100 meters? That
Boy,
speed.
that is smoking.
They thought he was going to be a Bo Jackson type, and he is just about the same dimensions, and he has the same kind of speed.
Meanwhile, about the only way that Auburn could stop Florida State right here is for Florida State to call a timeout, and that's what they do as they're marching down the field. But as Ferguson looked over the defense, he takes a timeout with 3 minutes and 16 seconds having elapsed in the first quarter.
Kind of stunning, isn't it? We've talked about the great defense of Auburn, and Florida State has come out, called the right plays, executed the right plays with the quarterback Chip Ferguson. They have moved the ball very easily on the ground and in the air against Auburn.
If you're Pat Dye, coach of the Auburn Tigers, you got the matchup you wanted. In a big game, you always would like to have your defense, especially if it's a stellar defense, out on the field first. And that's exactly what Dye wanted. And a lot of times, the offensive team comes out a little bit tight. You'll see that 3 plays and punt. You open up the game with good field position. This has really worked in Florida State's favor, getting the ball and moving it against an outstanding unit.
They've already run 8 plays, and Smith has carried 5 times. Michigan, of course, beat USC in the Rose Bowl, a great game at Pasadena, 22-14. Notre Dame will win the national championship as they handle the Mountaineers by 13 points. UCLA and Troy Aikman over Arkansas in the Cotton Bowl, 17-3. And here we're just underway, no score, early first quarter. Florida State moving against Auburn from the 33. Smith dances to the outside. A beautiful move and a first down to the 16-yard line. Stopped by Sam Morris.
Frank, here we are back to some things that cannot be coached. This is a play that maybe if Smith would have just closed his eyes and banged it in there, might have picked up a yard. It might have just ended up a net 0 at the line of scrimmage. This is nothing more than instinctive running. Seeing it bottled up inside, and then it's all Sammy Smith, Frank.
Watch him plant this left foot, and he just accelerates out of it like the great backs do. And that, what do you think of when you watch that? I think of Eric Dickerson. The same kinds of moves, the same kinds of speed.
From the 16-yard line, the fake by Ferguson, and the pass is caught and close to a first down, and I think Tom O'Malley has it as he wrestles his way down to the 6-yard line. A beautiful fake by Ferguson, who is a great ball handler. And first and goal at the 6-yard line.
Nothing more than the high formation. And watch the fake here. Both backs are going to move to the left. The fake by Ferguson, and then watch him come out with the football. This really gets everyone in a blue jersey to bite. Notice how Ferguson turned his back to the play completely, and then the easy completion. Again, the play calling of Bowden a key.
This is Smith, and he fights his way out of the backfield and across the 5 to the 3.
It's a red shirt senior, Sammy Smith, who's going to have to make a decision whether he is going to stay on another year at Florida State or will he go to the professionals. There's little doubt if he stays healthy that he would be one of the fine running backs in professional football. That's been the only problem with him. He had 1,200 plus yards as a junior, and he just was injured early in the year, but this is a great running back.
Bobby Bowden said yesterday, in terms of that decision, if he listens to his mama, he'll be back in school.
Mama and Bobby.
Yeah. Second and goal. We have a penalty flag, and Smith is tackled at about the line of scrimmage by Greg Staples, and we have the game's first penalty.
Better believe Bobby's talking to Mommy also.
I think it's safe to say that Mama is echoing Bobby Bowden's sentiments as well.
Offside on the defense.
John Sophie from Albany, New York is our referee tonight. The penalty is against Auburn, and Pat Dye looking on, watching his defense giving up the type of drive that he has not seen very often this year. In fact, their first unit defense allowed only 4 touchdowns all year, 4 in 11 games.
They never gave up a 100-yard rushing game to an SEC opponent all year either.
Right. If it looks to this first drive by Florida State, we better quit talking about that stuff right away.
Yep.
This unit on this drive has not played well enough to warrant our lauding them anymore, I don't think.
We've been programmed.
Time to turn the page.
The chapter.
This drive is 5 minutes old. It is 2nd and goal at the 2, Florida State. And the fullback Williams takes it in for the touchdown.
Classic drive. A little bit of everything.
And look at the way the Auburn defense is getting up just looking around. They are stunned. Dane Williams punches it in. Bobby Bowden told us yesterday this guy reminds him of a Nebraska fullback. He's primarily a blocker, only 251 yards on the year, but boy, that was good power running, shoulders low, and again, the beneficiary of some good line blocking. Credit a great deal of his success on this drive to Florida State's offensive line.
Richie Andrews moves it through, so Sammy Smith looks great on the drive. Williams carries once for the touchdown, 9:48 to go, first quarter. The Seminoles break on top. We have seen that game on ABC from Orlando. Clemson held on to beat Oklahoma with the Sooners driving at the end. But Clemson wins by 7. And in Tampa, Syracuse defeats LSU. And the LSU Tigers were the only team to defeat Auburn this season. The Orangemen won it by a score of 23-10. And of course, we told you about the Rose Bowl, and a little bit later on, there will be a minor debt to be paid off.
I think I'm setting some sort of a record for humility.
You are. You haven't mentioned it once.
No. I'm trying to see how long I can go without. Of course, I've got an ear-to-ear smile on my face.
And you're humming "Hail to the Victor's Valiant." Outside of that, nothing. Kick taken at the 3 by Shane Wasden. And he brings it back out to the 23-yard line. And from there will Auburn begin its first drive. The tackle is made by Brian Davis. And here comes Reggie Slack to guide the Auburn offense. At the 24-yard line, junior, recruited out of Milton, Florida. And with Reggie, he's got James Joseph, who started the season as the tailback, now the fullback, and Danley is the primary running back. Tillman and Wagan, a couple of very good receivers, and Walter Reeves, an excellent tight end. Jim Thompson, one of the best in the country, and Ed King, an outstanding freshman. To the 30-yard line, it's Stacy Danley for a gain of about 7, making it 2nd and 3. And the Florida State defense, so much made about their offensive prowess, but defensively they've done the job rather well this year. Hagan's in the middle, in the 3-man front. None of the names really stand out, but it's a very cohesive unit. Thompson, Hayes, Smith, and Hadley are the linebackers. Those Sanders are unrelated. Deon, of course, is the All-American and figures to be a very high draft choice. This is Danley, and he runs right into big number 36, the linebacker Kelvin Smith, who meets him at the line of scrimmage and pushes him back. Third down.
Calvin Smith is the best of that linebacking crew. He's a sophomore, and they're going to get a lot more out of him. But this is one violent collision right here.
Boy, and he just shoots the gap, works inside between the right guard and the right tackle, and an excellent job of reading it. Danley has absolutely no opportunity to even make it back to the line of scrimmage. A lot of pressure now on the Auburn offense. Their defense is reeling a bit. They'd really help themselves out to get a couple first downs.
3rd and 5 from the 29-yard line. No flag. And it's intercepted at the 43-yard line by Stan Shiver. And he takes it back to the 33. And this game for Florida State beginning similarly as flags go down. There's a scuffle after the interception. Last year, turnovers did Auburn in against Florida State, including an interception early on by Stan Shiver.
That one, of course, wound up 34-6 Florida State on 6 turnovers, I believe it was. But it was a nightmare for Pat Dye, and this is not shaping up too well.
It's a dead ball foul. It's a personal foul on Auburn.
And so the interception, of course, stands because it's a dead ball foul, and they'll march off 15 more.
But watch something on this play. This is Stacy Danley right here, who's going to run an out pattern. I want you to watch him as we roll the tape, because this is where Reggie Slack should have gone with the football. He makes a poor decision. Look at Danley, how wide open he is, and Danley goes downfield and throws right into the teeth of the coverage. Florida State made a mistake. Danley was wide open, and Slack didn't see it.
Never saw Stan Shiver.
So there's Slack, and next to him is Pat Sullivan, who's the offensive assistant. He coaches the quarterbacks. Pat, the 1971 Heisman Trophy winner, as the Auburn quarterback.
And what he's saying to the young quarterback, let's just settle down now, the junior quarterback. That's okay. We'll get another shot at it.
Well, remember, one of the things Pat Dye told us yesterday about Reggie Slack, it was that nothing seems to bother him. Reminded Pat Dye a little bit of the snake, Kenny Stabler, when he was at Alabama. No matter what happened, he never got flustered. Slack's going to need it now.
And the defense will have to stiffen now as Ferguson hits number 80, Reggie Johnson, the tight end, for a first down. And it will be 1st and goal. They'll spot the ball at the 3-yard line. But it may be coming back. There's a flag down at the 24-yard line. It will come back holding.
Boy, did Reggie Johnson lower his shoulder at the end of that run, or what?
Holding on the offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Instead of 1st and goal, it will now be 1st and 20 from the 28-yard line.
You know, one thing the Florida State has established is the run. And watch this now. This is what we were talking about a moment ago. Reggie Johnson.
John Wiley, number 9, is the guy that comes up and tries to put the lick on Reggie Johnson, and whoa.
On 1st and 20 now, it's Smith moving to the outside and taking it to the 26-yard line. Carlo Cheatham comes up to make the tackle after a pickup of about 3.
But Florida State, having established they can run the ball as they did in that first series so easily, they basically were thought to be a team that would come in here throwing the ball against the defensive unit against the run by Auburn. Now they can start to think a lot of different things. They can think play pass. Auburn's got to be just a little bit confused. They got to consider run as we look at their Outland Trophy winner, Tracy Rocker. They'll be a little hesitant because they know that Florida State can now run it.
2nd and 17. It's Ferguson. Swings it outside to Lawrence Dawsey. And Dawsey is taken down at the 20-yard line. It will be 3rd down and 12. Morris and Wiley converge on the tackle.
Watch the way Florida State, all their receivers and running backs, finish off their play. They get the football, and then everything is going forward, shoulders down, aggressively fighting for another 2 feet, an extra yard, or whatever. This is an aggressive football team. Offensively, you hear a lot about it's always the defensive guy that does all the hitting. Look at the way Florida State offensively has been hitting the last 2 or 3 plays.
And did you see those numbers on Dawsey? 18 catches during the regular season, 9 for touchdowns. 3rd and 11, and Smith is stopped after a gain of 1 by Benji Rowland. And that's not unusual. Bobby Bowden was saying yesterday, we like to run off times on 3rd and long. They run here, but to no avail, and the field goal unit will come in.
I think we'll now see one of a selection of field goal kickers that Florida State employs.
You know, we've seen some imaginative play calling by Bobby Bowden, and this is the first play all day long that was less than that. 3rd and 11, just challenging this Auburn defense right where they are the strongest, right up the middle. I don't care how much success you've had on 3rd and 11. That's a tough call.
Bill Mason comes in to attempt a 36-yard field goal. And the kick is good.
Mason, the long field goal kicker. They have a medium arrangement, and they have one for the extra points.
And 2 scoring drives early on for Florida State. 5:57 to go, first quarter. It's 10-0 Seminoles in New Orleans. 10-0. Funny thing about this game, Florida State came in as a 6-point favorite, to the surprise of a lot of people. It's surprising in as much as Auburn, during the course of the 11-game regular season, had allowed an average of only 7 points a game. And here they come in as a 6-point dog.
Funny thing how those guys aren't wrong very often.
Not so far.
What Pat Dye said, I can't remember the last time we were a 6-point underdog. Kind of licking his chops when he said that.
And right now they are down by 10 early on. 5:57 to go in the first quarter.
Florida State was offside.
And a flag goes down. It's taken at the 9-yard line by Wasden. And this amounts to a free run back for Auburn. And they will take the play, I'm sure. Good run back. He's run out of bounds by Andrews near midfield.
I think they might decline it.
Yep.
Wasden, one of those fine wide receivers with the blazing speed. Got up there, found a gap, and took it to the outside.
Offside on the kicking team.
And they'll spot it at the 42-yard line, and that's where Auburn will begin its next drive. And we'll begin another season of bowling. Chris Schenkel and Bo Burton will be there in the San Francisco Bay Area for the ARC Pinole Open, the Pro Bowlers Tour, back on ABC next Saturday. And then ABC's Wide World of Sports 1989 debut features the World Challenge of Champions from Paris. And you'll see Brian Boitano, Dorothy Hamill, and some of the world's top figure skaters this weekend. Reggie Slack on first down has it knocked down. And it's knocked down by Odell Hagens. He's the nose guard and a converted linebacker.
And really a frustrated linebacker. Odell Hagens went round and around with Bobby Bowden for a couple of years, really wanting to play linebacker, not wanting to get down in that 4-point stance and grunt and growl with everyone else up on the line of scrimmage. But Bobby, after 2 years of saying, I'd like you to do it, finally told Odell Hagens, you're going to do it. And he's a good one.
2nd and 10. On the delay, this is Danley moving up to the 46-yard line. He is stopped there by Felton Hayes. It'll be 3rd down and 6. Steve Gabbard also in on the tackle.
Danley became the starter tailback for Auburn at the middle of the season. He's had 581 yards in the last 5 games, but came into the season with a very sore knee, and when he finally became the starter, the running game for Auburn really has picked up. He's had big games the last couple of games to wind up the season. 172 yards against Georgia and then 97 against Florida. He can move it.
3rd and 6 from the 46. Slack throwing to the 49, short of the first down. Greg Taylor making the catch, but he is tackled at the 49-yard line, and they are a yard short of the first down, and Stan Shiver made the tackle that staved off the first down.
And I don't see the Auburn punt team streaking out onto the field yet. You know, I think back to the Super Bowl when Denver got off to that 10-0 start over the Washington Redskins, and we started talking about what was important for Washington at the time was just get some first downs. Don't think points, just get first downs, and that's what the Auburn offense needs to do, and this is a critical measurement for them. And they are well short.
4th down.
Well short.
4th and a full yard with the ball at the 49-yard line.
And no punt team coming onto the field. Early tough decision for Pat Dye.
This
is when he's going to go for it.
This is when you have a lot of confidence in your defensive football team.
Well, we talked about Dye's relatively conservative nature, relative certainly to Bowden, but here he is taking a big gamble early in the game.
A
huge gamble. I'm very surprised with this.
Interesting, this call taking so long in the huddle. You know that in numerical terms, Dan, they usually take a lot longer if you're going to lay out any kind of a passing thing. Could they be going to the play action?
It's possible, but rarely out of this offensive set. One hand grenade to get everybody.
Or maybe just trying to draw them offside. No, they run the play, and it's going to be real close. Vincent Harris carries, and it will be a first down.
Gutsy call and a super effort up front by Auburn.
Well, you know, one of the things Auburn did was to go to an unbalanced line and then run back to the weak side, and I think that fooled Florida State. Here's the center right here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 linemen to that side, only 2 here, and watch how the ball carrier works back to the weak side. And I think that took Florida State by surprise.
From the 47-yard line. Slack. Losing it. A flag goes down. The pass incomplete, and we'll see about the call.
We might have a lineman downfield.
Well, if he'd have been a fast lineman, he could have outrun that pass.
The pass interference on the offense carries a loss of down.
So that'll push Auburn back. That was an amazing play, Dan. When you think about it, that's almost the type of play you'd find in Bobby Bowden's playbook instead of Pat Dye, with the unbalanced line, run it to the weak side in a very critical early game situation.
And I know that it's easier to make that decision if you're Pat Dye when you have that great defense that you can give them, you know, a tough field position. Let's see if we can see it. There's the push right there by Walter Reeves, the tight end. And the flag, you can see, that's where the call was. I can only assume that Reeves didn't think that the ball was in the air at the time. You know, that's just a legal block if the ball has not been thrown. But when the ball's in the air, then it becomes offensive pass interference.
Or he could have taken a peek at Slack rolling out, thinking Slack was going to turn it upfield, because Slack often will do that. A good athlete, good runner.
Meanwhile, a big penalty against Auburn. Loss of down and 15 yards to make it 2nd and 25. It's dropped. A fumble by Danley. The ball is still loose, and the Seminoles have it. Odell Hagan, who knocked down a slack pass on the first play of this drive, recovers the fumble.
And I think this is a situation where Stacy Danley just doesn't look the ball into his hands. It's a good pitch. And Frank, how many times have you taken this pitch out? You really do have to watch it come into your hands.
When they pitch it exactly right, that's when you have a tendency to look upfield, see where you're going to go with it, and you hit it right on the head. You saw him take his eyes off the ball. It was laid out there absolutely perfectly. He tried to recover it, lost it, and big play for Hagan.
That was a good pitch by Reggie Slack. It was right on the hands of Stacy Danley. Sometimes the easiest things are the ones that hurt you.
Ferguson, a short drop and a quick pass and a first down. The catch is made by Anthony. A flag goes down at the line of scrimmage as Anthony takes it to the 10. There's a marker down back at the 29.
And Anthony had some kind of a second effort, but did you see the pop that Shan Morris put on him at the conclusion of that play? Anthony's right up.
Penalty against Auburn. Play
They're
count.
offside on the defense. They're lining up offside. They are in the neutral zone.
There's Shan Morris, and boy, does he put a hit on Terry Anthony at the conclusion of this play, but not until Anthony, with a good second effort, picks up a lot of extra yardage.
Yeah, it's just a miracle that Shan Morris is even playing this game. He's had 2 major knee operations, missed all of last season with one after hurting, but again, had an operation in '86 and had another at the beginning of last season. But he's really put the hit on.
And a fake reverse. Smith keeps and takes it to the 4. So it'll be 2nd down and goal. And Auburn may be having nightmares at this point. We talked about these two teams meeting last year. Auburn turned the ball over early and often, 6 times total in the game. Florida State routed them 34-6, and tonight Auburn's already turned it over twice.
Auburn's not the only ones having nightmares. Yep, Pat Dye, I'm sure, can hardly believe this is happening. The one constant you can count on if you're the head coach of the Auburn Tigers is, I'm going to get solid play out of my defensive team. I'm not going to be out of a ball game. Keep in mind, their only loss was 7-6.
Smith on 2nd and goal with a Roger Craig move takes it to the 2. It'll be 3rd and goal. And for Smith, he's coming back to a place where he enjoyed his best success of the season. When Florida State came in here early in the year to face Tulane, he ran for 212 yards, by far his best day of the year.
Big, strong running back, Sammy Smith. I was looking at a video of their final game against Florida, and he reversed his field, ran into his own offensive guard, 6'2", 265-pound Jason Kuipers, and just wiped him out and picked up another 10 yards.
3rd and goal, fake to Williams. And Ferguson throws, and it's dropped in the end zone by Reggie Johnson. He couldn't hold on. He was covered on the play by Staples.
Oh, well played that time by the Auburn defense, because they didn't give Ferguson the corner. I think Ron Stallworth is one of the guys involved there. He gets upfield and does not allow Craig Ogletree the other. Here it is right here. Look at Stallworth and look at Ogletree. Force Ferguson backwards. Forced him to throw backwards. It's a heck of a throw, and in reality probably should have been caught by Johnson for a touchdown. A sensational throw by Ferguson.
Super throw, off balance. He still got it in there, and it should have been caught.
Mason to attempt the field goal instead of fake. And the throw is knocked away in the end zone by Carlos Cheatham.
And if that throw has any pizzazz on it at all, that's an easy touchdown.
Brad Johnson was the holder, and he's a freshman quarterback. He's also a basketball player, and he lofted it into the end zone, but it hung.
He's trying to throw into the end zone to Dave Roberts, a sophomore tight end. Watch Roberts, number 83, in the back of the end zone. Look how wide open he is. But the ball is coming down like a punt, any velocity at all, and that's an easy touchdown for Florida State. An easy touchdown. Johnson just lofts a soft one, and that really cost Florida State the opportunity to score 7 more.
With Lynn Swan.
Thank you, Alan. With Bo Jackson, who's watching his team play. Bo, Sammy Smith from Florida. How do you analyze his style?
Sammy Smith is the type of guy that goes out and he gives his all. He's a high runner, and that's going to work to our defense's advantage once they get going. But right now, Sammy is playing his type of game, where he can pick his hole. His line is doing a great job blocking for him. But one thing that I've noticed about Sammy is he carries the ball loose, and you can't do that.
What about your team?
Our team, it's hard to score points when you're turning the ball over. And we just got to regroup and go back out and try to put some points on the board before the half.
You've been in a bowl game like this before. Is it tough? Is the emotion too high?
Well, it's tough. It's tough. I don't know what. You just have to go out and not worry about the fans, the bands, the other team. Just go out and do what you can to try to help your team.
Well, you're playing professional baseball, you play professional football. What are you doing with all your free time?
Just trying to raise 2 sons.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, Al.
All right, thank you, Lynn. We saw Harris pick up 2, take it to the 4, 2nd and 8 as the Tigers look for breathing room, and James Joseph gives them some breathing room. He's close to a first down. He's out of bounds, close to the marker at the 12-yard line.
Kind of waiting for Lynn to ask Bo if we might see this summer in the Tour de France.
As Bo says in that commercial, that Tour de France thing.
I'd ride in it, but I can't find a bicycle with a seat big enough.
You may be announcing in it.
I'd pay to see that one.
Oh, no.
You'd need an outrigger.
No, I can't. Al, I think that's clearly got your name.
No, I'm busy this summer.
Dan is our man of the fisticuffs.
Maybe.
That's a first down for the Auburn Tigers.
And that is some king-size breathing room. And that is a look of relief, if there can be such a thing, on the face of Pat Dye down 10-0. But a first down has to look awful good to this beleaguered coach. Boy, what a rough start by the Tigers.
From the 12-yard line, 1.5 minutes to go, first quarter, Florida State on top, 10-0. And this is Joseph who takes it out to the 17. Again, Joseph began the season as the tailback, and then they moved him to fullback when Danley came on and was healthy and became the prime back. And so Joseph can run out of either spot, and as you see, a 6.2 average is great.
It's better than great. It's phenomenal. It's sensational. And you run out of superlatives when you start talking about a running back who has almost 700 yards on the regular season and averages over 6 yards a carry. That's extraordinary.
And he handles the change so easily, too.
And they have him at tailback here, and he takes the toss, and he picks up the first down. So an interesting thing here, after Danley had fumbled, Dye moves Joseph back to tailback on this drive, and we've got a marker down at the end of the play here.
And a very late, this was well after the play.
Personal foul on the offense.
Oh, man, that hurts. Don't go over to the sidelines. He who committed that foul and confront Pat Dye. I'd stay on this field for a long time.
The play had resulted in a first down.
Personal foul on the offense. It's going to be down. It'll be first down, approximately 22 and a half.
In other words, the play stands, and then it's marked from the spot of the foul.
And that's Walter Reeves, the tight end, who just gets up and takes a good shove. And wow, I guess that's a personal foul. That's not going to get called in professional football. It takes a little bit more than that to draw the flag in the NFL.
You know, as always happens, though, Walter Reeves got a shot before he turned around and delivered one, and just as he did, the official was looking him right in the eyes, and he got the flag.
Lee Mark Sellers comes in to spell him.
He got the hook as well.
Yep, a temporary one. First and 23, and Slack has it intercepted at the 37-yard line by Dedrick Dodge. 3 Auburn turnovers.
Well, Dedrick Dodge just plays that the way a free safety should. React to the quarterback, react to the football, close on the football, and make the catch.
Deja vu of 1987. You turn it over, you're going to get out of a ball game so early, and particularly a team like Auburn, they have a tough time getting back into it. 1 foot in college, and not only for a reception, but for anyone intercepting.
Dedrick Dodge, he loves this stadium, as does Sammy Smith. When Florida State played Tulane here this year, he had 2 interceptions, so he's at home. First down, Seminoles at the 38-yard line. And this time, it is Dexter Carter who backs up Smith, who carries to the 35, a gain of 3.
And you hate to single out Walter Reeves, but that penalty forces Auburn into that long passing situation. They've been keeping it on the ground, not wanting to throw that long ball, and the penalty forces them to do it.
And in this USF&G Sugar Bowl, the first quarter comes to an end in New Orleans. All Florida State Seminoles on top, 10-0. Talked about Auburn's defense. There it is for the season. They averaged yielding 218 yards a game. Tonight already 119 in the first quarter. They yield an average of 7 points a game. Already tonight 10. They led the nation in rushing defense, 63 yards a game. Tonight, thanks mainly to Sammy Smith, 71 yards after 15 minutes.
One would surmise if these stats continue that Auburn may not win the game.
Yeah, one might surmise that. 2nd and 7. Ferguson. And he dumps it off, and he finds number 13, Dexter Carter. And Carter fights his way to the 25-yard line, absorbing some hits. He's finally stopped by Smokey Hodge, and a first down.
Bobby Bowden said that Dexter Carter might play a major role tonight. He is a very versatile back, good running back, and also a fine receiver out of the backfield.
That pass from Ferguson didn't look like much, more or less a dying quail as it came in over the top, but that's the touch he needed on it. It only had to travel about 8 or 9 yards, and Ferguson bought the extra time getting out of the pocket, and Carter stayed alive.
And Carter bulled his way for the extra yardage. The ball is at the 25 on first down. Ferguson hits Carter again, and Carter picks up 7 as he's taken down by John Wiley at the 18-yard line. Opening minute of the second quarter. 10-0 Florida State, and there is the Auburn mascot, War Eagle.
That is not a hawk. That is not
a crow.
A crow. That is not
an owl.
Anything else. That is the War Eagle.
Not a groundhog either.
You know, their name is a tiger. There's quite a story that goes with this eagle. I'm sure that we're going to get around to it a little later on.
No, but the Seminoles right now are what counts. They are in control of this ball game.
2nd and 3. Carter again to the 10-yard line. So as they rest Smith, who had the sensational first quarter, he is spelled by Carter, and Carter comes out looking like Sammy Smith.
That's what Bobby Bowden said about him. We've seen him running the football. We've seen him on the receiving end of it. And here is Tracy Rocker, the Outland Trophy winner, and most certainly a high first-round draft pick in the pro. That time, they blew him out of there. Pat Cumberland, the All-American offensive tackle for Florida State, working over on that right side.
Well, there's nothing that an offensive lineman enjoys more than a lead. And right now, that's a luxury that the Florida State offensive line is enjoying. They better get this play off. And Ferguson, seeing that he's not going to do it, has to call a timeout. They were down to 2 seconds on the 25-second clock.
And that's their 2nd timeout. It'll be 1st and goal when we come back to New Orleans. 13-19 to play in the half. He enrolled at the University of Alabama as a freshman and then transferred to Howard University, now Samford. And his son is the current head coach at Samford. Bobby, the head coach at FSU, they lead 10-0. 1st and goal just inside the 10. And Dexter Carter takes it to the 4, but a marker is down at the 9-yard line. Smokey Hodge makes the tackle. And our referee, John Sophie, will tell us.
Illegal shift. We have 2 men moving at the same time.
Well, Bowden likes to use a lot of trick plays.
Works fine in Canada, but not here.
Right.
Where Bobby was getting the word from upstairs as to who was the guilty party.
Communications have improved greatly on the collegiate level. Back in the old days, you didn't get chewed out until the next day when they sat down and watched the film. Now it's instantaneous.
And sometimes a replay on it, right in front of all of America.
1st and goal at the 15-yard line. Florida State with the ball. Auburn has turned it over 3 times. And the Seminoles lead 10-0. On a draw, they give it to Dane Williams. He's the man who scored the touchdown to culminate that early drive, and he takes it to about the 12. It'll be 2nd and goal.
And Dane Williams is very close to coming out of that pile at the line of scrimmage and maybe having a clear alley to the goal line.
Draw plays were very effective in Florida State's win in 1987, and when we talked to Pat Dye yesterday, he said he has gone back several times and looked at the films, and it's obvious that Bobby Bowden has also gone back because it was a very effective play against Auburn in '87, and we've seen it several times tonight.
On 2nd and goal, Williams takes it to about the 9-yard line. It'll now be 3rd and goal for Florida State.
Well, I don't know how far down this Auburn defense can reach, but now is the time to do it. They have been put in an awkward position the entire first quarter and now into the 2nd quarter, but this is a group that has been there before, and over the course of a season, when you only allow 7 points a game, there is a tremendous camaraderie and pride that is built up, and now is the time for that to surface, because a touchdown here just might be fatal.
Key play. 3rd and goal. Ferguson. Pad time and then runs out of it. Tracy Rocker gets the sack at the 14-yard line.
Well, we talked about all these guys up front being all SEC and all Americans, but that's a coverage sack. That's a sack where there's nobody to throw to. There is late penetration by the defensive line.
Right here, Ferguson looking into the end zone, looking for the back out of the backfield, Carter and Terry Anthony. Rocker was even nailed at the line of scrimmage, got up, but you're right, good coverage, and it forces the field goal team onto the field.
31-yard attempt by Mason after the previous fake, and the kick is good. So in a way, a small victory of sorts for Auburn here, limiting them to 3 and staying within 2 touchdowns. 13-0, Florida State.
It's their name right in that space right there, and a lot of equipment managers don't like to give these guys free advertising, so they go ahead and cover it up.
One thing about Shiver, he's had a few wide receivers resting in peace after his hits.
They say he hits like an Auburn player. The big hitter in that secondary for Florida State.
Richie Andrews to kick off for the Seminoles. It's been all Florida State to this point. Auburn's had the ball 3 times, and they've turned it over 3 times. Shane Wasden from the 2 is met head-on at the 21-yard line, and the tackle is made by Lawrence Dawsey. Meanwhile, as far as Auburn is concerned offensively, look at this. 3 plays, an interception, 5 and a fumble, 5 and another pickoff.
That is ugly with a capital U.
That's all the destruction that's been wrought. They're lucky to get out.
That's just about as bad as it gets.
But they're lucky to beat 13 zip.
They really are. It could be a great deal worse.
And so are we.
Yep. First down from the 21-yard line. Here's Joseph. And Joseph fights his way out to the 29-yard line, where it'll be 2nd and 2. He is stopped there by Leroy Butler, number 6. So after that Danley fumble, it's been Joseph on the last 2 series as the tailback. And now
Danley's been remaining in the game, Al. He's just been playing a wingback position with Joseph moving back to the tailback position. And one of the problems Danley had when he was a youngster last year as a freshman was fumbling a lot. Pat Dye told us how they used to work after practice.
And there was Danley lining up in the slot. Joseph breaks the tackle, and he fumbles, but out of bounds up at the 37-yard line. That's a first down.
Finish off that story, and is Joseph injured? And just when he's starting to get the feel of how things are working back there at tailback, it looks like James Joseph is a little reluctant to run back out on the field. He's walking a little gingerly, and I guess this will force Danley back to the tailback position. Boy, Joseph was just starting to go, too.
He's had a knee problem in the past, and that could very well be a troublesome knee again.
Joseph had what amounted to a broken kneecap, which he suffered last year. Now Danley off the left side takes it out to the 42-yard line. He is stopped there by Eric Hayes and Felton Hayes.
Well, one thing about it, this is clearly the best that the Auburn offense has looked yet tonight. I mean, this is their most solid drive, if you want to call it that, only being at their own 42, but it's still by far and away their best.
And the defense has stiffened twice in a row now. They were able to knock down that 4th down fake field goal attempt on Florida State's previous possession, and then on their last possession, they held them to a field goal. So the defense at least keeping them in the game as the offense tries to get things started. And this is Vincent Harris, and his 2nd carry of the night is a minimal gain. It'll be 3rd down and about 6.
Vincent Harris opened the season at fullback and had 230-some yards in the first 6 games as the starting fullback. He only carried the football 5 times in the last 5 games, as most of the work was done by James Joseph and Stacy Danley. But now with Joseph out of there, we might see a lot of Harris.
3rd and 6. Auburn from the 42. Florida State ahead 13-0. Reggie Slack has time, needs more, and comes up about 3 yards short of the first down. He's run out of bounds by Felton Hayes and Odell Hagan, and so Auburn will have to punt.
Again, just dynamite coverage downfield. He had plenty of time, a lot of time.
Unfortunately for Reggie Slack, he was forced to scramble out to his right when he had flooded the left side of the field with all his receivers. And so Reggie has to roll to the far sideline and has no one in a position to come back.
And that,
there's Neon Deon.
Deon as in Neon Sanders, primetime Sanders, but they kick it away from him. He leads the nation. In punt returns, he figures he might as well get in the block anyway. Anything to get on prime time.
That is his first call of the night, I believe.
The All-America defensive back, and we'll get into his story as the game moves along. 8:38 to go in the first half. Yard line, the up back, the first man through for a gain of about 5, as the ball carrier for the first time tonight is Victor Floyd. Just to follow up on Sanders, I know a lot of you have read about him. He was involved in that altercation in a Fort Myers department store over the Christmas holidays. Originally a felony charge against him. It was lowered to a misdemeanor. He talked it over with Bobby Bowden. Bowden got all sides of the story and elected to let Sanders play after his eligibility for this game at a particular point over the Christmas holidays was very much in question.
You could see all the players around him there. They were looking at the big screens here in the Superdome, seeing Deon Sanders on camera.
2nd and 5, and Smith gets pushed back, nowhere to go. And that's that defense that we've heard about. Craig Ogletree, number 94, leading the charge. And it'll be 3rd down and 6.
A lot of top draft picks right across that front line. Ron Stallworth, who came on strong at the end of the season at right defensive end, number 92. He had a great game against Alabama. 4 sacks, 1 for a safety. Benji Rowland, the nose tackle, he could go high. And Tracy Rocker, no question, he'll probably be in the top 5 or 10.
From the 32-yard line, another fake reverse. A flag is thrown. Smith picks up a yard or so. Ogletree is again in on the tackle. And John Sophie with the call here.
Holding on the offense.
I believe that's against Pat Tomberlin, the right tackle, number 72 of Florida State. He's trying to block Tracy Rocker, and Rocker takes a big inside move, and Tomberlin has to come back to the inside, and I think in reality ends up tackling him. Look at Tomberlin go too far to the outside. There he comes back to the inside. He really didn't grab him. He really didn't come out, but if you're that umpire, you see him getting on the back of his leg. It looks like his arms wrapped around him. But a technical error at the beginning of that play by Tomberlin, reaching way too far to the outside.
And the penalty is declined because it makes it 4th down, and a low, wobbly short kick is taken by Wasden at the 32-yard line, and Wasden brings it back out to the 49.
Well, this is sensational field position for Auburn. Clearly the best they've had.
6:53 to go in the first half. 13-0, Florida State.
Good story we heard, Al, about Pat Dye, what the Syracuse people sent 1,000 ties down to Pat Dye, the head coach of Auburn, and he turned around and sold them.
He sold them, and the proceeds went to charity, or actually went, I believe, to the scholarship fund at Auburn.
Yeah, that's hardly charity.
Right.
In Pat Dye's mind it is.
2nd and inches, and Danley with those inches and several yards as he takes it to the 32. He is stopped by Butler. 1st down, Tigers. .6:06 to go in the half. Pat Dye, we talked about his being an aide to Bear Bryant. Then he took his first head coaching job in the late 70s at East Carolina. Went to Wyoming. 1 year there. He would have stayed longer, except the Auburn job opened up. They offered it to him, and obviously he had to take it at that point in his career. Joseph at the 24-yard line.
That time Joseph got a key block from Danley, a super block by Danley, and these two are almost interchangeable. Both of them can play that tailback spot, switching around, and it was Danley with a terrific block.
How about the end of that play, though, where Joseph ends up on Corian Freeman, maybe the world's largest cornerback for Florida State. This guy's 225 pounds, 6'4", playing corner. There is number 10, and number 10 met number 10 at the end of that last play.
2nd and a long yard, closer to 2. Here's Joseph, and he takes it to the 22-yard line. I would say from our perspective here, he is just short of the 1st down. Meanwhile, if you're just picking us up along the way, 13-0 Florida State. Auburn turned the ball over 3 times on their first 3 possessions. And Auburn now has mounted a drive, and as they measure here, Auburn trying to keep the drive alive and trying very much to stay in the game, and their defense has stiffened the last 2 times Florida State has held the ball to keep them in the game. Just short. 3rd down upcoming.
It's been good work on the part of Auburn to stay in this, because they could have really been blown out of this early on. Pat Dye was talking to his team, both offensively and defensively, as they came off on those first 3 series, and they have stayed in the game. They got that much for the first down to keep this drive alive. They get it on, get the conversion, and they're right back into a game in which they were being blown away in the first quarter.
Really very much the same scenario as when these two teams met last year. Auburn made all the mistakes early in the ball game. Florida State capitalized.
3rd and inches out of the power I. And those are going to be some hard-earned inches. Vincent Harris running right into Kelvin Smith, and let's see where they mark that forward progress.
Kelvin Smith plays that play exactly like you have to. You got to meet it in the air. You're going to stop it.
They'll measure again. I think he's got it.
Here's the key. Watch the 2 inside linebackers right here. They have to get over the top and meet the ball carrier. Just watch Kelvin Smith and Felton Hayes, how they get up in the air and they make contact on the Auburn side of the football with Vincent Harris. Credit Smith and Hayes. It's still a first down, but that is technically perfect the way you play short yardage if you're an inside linebacker.
And it's not all that easy to time it out.
No, it's not. And Vincent Harris, frankly, I think, was the beneficiary of a very good spot. I didn't even see him getting back to the line of scrimmage.
Neither did Bobby Bowden.
No. Smith and Hayes were clearly on the Auburn side of the football when they initiated contact.
First down from the 22. Stanley seeking a hole, and it opens for a gain of 2 to the 20-yard line with 4:55 to go in the first half. Corey Sr., who is a freshman, makes the tackle.
I guess announcers will have fun with him for the next 4 years. I see even he's gone to the shades that are sweeping the NFL, everyone with their dark visor. You know, it really does make a lot of sense when you consider, Frank, you played all those years, so did I, how many times you'd see a teammate get poked in the eye. If it keeps someone from getting a finger in the eye, well, worthwhile.
2nd and 9 from the 21-yard line. That's Freddie Wagand in motion. Fake toss. Slack on a roll. Slack throwing to the 5, and in for the touchdown is Walter Reeves.
Slack into the line of scrimmage,
and Deon Sanders bought it too.
Sold everyone on Florida State, and Sanders, the guy who ends up having to have the coverage on Reeves, is woefully out of it.
Win Lyle for the extra point. Brian Schulman holding. The kick is good, and the Tigers are very much back in the game.
Well for Florida State earlier, and now this game is a new football game. Auburn all fired up.
It all starts here with the fake into the line of scrimmage. The fake pitch, and Reggie Slack sold everyone on Florida State. You have to wonder, where's the contain? And Walter Reeves, who really just ran a simple out pattern, fooled Sanders.
You saw Sanders come back into the shot. He had bought the fake all the way. He's a very competitive football player. Sometimes he overplays different plays, and that's exactly what he did here. He bought the play. He was going to try to be on the other side of the field to help out. He got back late. Touchdown, Auburn, new football game.
Walter Reeves just gave Sanders a ride into the end zone.
Penalty against Reeves, and he was chewed out by Dye, and now he's at the other end of a pass from Slack to get Auburn to within 6 at 13-7.
I like the play call by Pat Dye and his staff, though. They had been running the ball successfully. You have to give James Joseph, Stacy Danley, and Vincent Harris credit. They'd been slamming the ball up in there. Florida State was reeling a little bit, and then the beautiful play action, the fake toss, really sold everyone in a white uniform on the wrong play.
Johnson's kick for Auburn is taken at the 11-yard line by Dexter Carter, and Carter brings it out to the 25.
Let's look at it. Here's Deon Sanders. He's locked up with Walter Reeves all the way. Watch the way he bites on the fake pitch and then tries to get back in. He does a complete 360 right here. Whoa, Nelly. He knows there's a major problem. And Walter Reeves, there's the high tackle, and Sanders, who was outfoxed on the play to begin with, ends up short on both ends.
And what's a college football game without a whoa Nelly, right?
I had to do it.
Yep. At the 25-yard line, first down, Florida State. And Ferguson, was his arm coming forward? Yes, incomplete pass. He was hit by Stallworth, simply an incomplete pass. Stallworth plays the other side from Tracy Rocker, so he doesn't get a lot of publicity. But when they double-team Rocker a lot, Stallworth does his thing.
And as you can see, he just draws the single blocker, as he's been doing that all year long as they double up over on the strong side of Tracy Rocker. And, of course, he has led this team, the Auburn team, in sacks with 9. That's 4 more than Rocker has.
And he had 4 of them against Alabama in the season finale. Smith, and they're able to bottle him up. 27-yard line. So Smith, who ran wild on that first drive, has been held in check since. Brian Smith takes the tackle.
And there go the burnt orange and navy pom-poms for the first time tonight. The Auburn fans are starting to get into it. This is the kind of defensive play they've seen all year. And if Auburn does get in a position where they crawl back in this football game, Bobby Bowden is going to look at 13 points out of those 3 turnovers and say, boy, that wasn't enough.
3rd and 8 from the 27-yard line. Ferguson trying to find the open man. It's picked off at the 37 by Smokey Hodge.
Receiver, and when we watch this on replay, you're going to see 4 Auburn Tigers within striking range of Terry Anthony.
The key when, of course, Smokey Hodge, who has really come into his own this year, quiet, reticent player for the past couple of years, and has exploded into an outstanding linebacker for Auburn. A great pickoff there. Good field position once again on the turnover.
First down, Auburn at the 25. Danley takes the toss, gives it to Freddie Wagand on a reverse. He can't get the block he needs, and he's thrown out of bounds. Back at the 30-yard line by John Hadley.
And Hadley, Al, saves Florida State's bacon, because that was going to be a touchdown if Hadley doesn't play that reverse well. Stay home, get upfield, don't let him to the outside. Superb play by John Hadley.
That's a loss of 4. It makes it 2nd down and 14 at the 29-yard line. 3:01 to play in the half.
That might have been a touchdown.
Slack to throw on 2nd and 14. And he hits Greg Taylor.
And there's a
flag goes down at the 21. Stan Shiver will be the man who's guilty of the penalty.
Spaceman on the defense. 5 yards.
The inadvertent variety, only the 5-yard penalty. But we're going to see it clearly. Shiver really runs the risk of getting the flag for going to the head. You can see the elbow right up around the neck of Greg Taylor.
Shiver locked up man for man on Taylor, as they so often do over on the side of Deon Sanders. He usually plays the man for man side. They try combinations on the other side, but in that case, Shiver got himself locked up on Taylor while Shiver took the flanker on a deep down and in.
That's twice now, though, for Auburn. We've seen big plays where Reggie Slack was able to break contain, moving to his right.
It's 3rd and 1 instead of 3rd and 6, and Danley has a first down as he takes it to the 13-yard line with 2.5 minutes to play in the first half. The first half that has completely flip-flopped.
Oh, it's flip-flopped. It's flip-flopped in the last 4 minutes. 4 minutes ago, who would have thought that we'd be in a position this quickly that Auburn is threatening to take the lead?
Well, two things happened for the Tigers. Number one, Florida State attempted that fake field goal. Auburn was able to knock it down. They didn't give up any points on that drive. On the subsequent drive, they held them to a field goal, which in turn was a small victory of sorts for Auburn. And now the offense has taken over.
And keeping it together, they haven't panicked at all, and they're moving.
They haven't scored yet either.
First and 10, and Slack drops the football. It's loose at the 19, and the Seminoles have it on Auburn's 4th turnover.
Pat Dye, I'm sure, cannot believe what he's seeing.
Well, he saw it last year at Auburn when they coughed it up 6 times. Gabbard with the recovery.
Sheldon Thompson, the linebacker, number 93. Slack trying to get away, trying to look into the end zone. There's Thompson.
He really runs into his own man. Rodney Garner, the right guard, collides with Reggie Slack, and it's on that collision that the ball comes loose.
Ranked number 1, but they trailed Notre Dame 24-23 late in the 4th quarter when this Tom Clemens completion enabled the Irish to run out the clock to end the game and upset Bear Bryant's top-ranked Tide. Final score 24-23 Notre Dame.
Look to the left of your screen. That senior guard, Rodney Garner, watch his hand knock the ball out of the hand of Reggie Slack. His left hand hits the ball and knocks it loose. Slack never even sees Garner. Garner's attempting to get over there and make a block. That's horrible luck for Auburn.
Garner knocks it loose and a face mask on his own guy as well on the same play.
You really can't fault Reggie Slack there. He's looking downfield. He doesn't expect to get hit by his own guy, and you can't fault Garner. He's just hustling.
First and 10, and Ferguson puts it up and hits the fullback, Dane Williams, and he's out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Now, as Florida State tries to move it down the field, keep in mind they've taken 2 timeouts already. They have 1 left. Meanwhile, at the Orange Bowl in Miami, the Hurricanes routing Nebraska at halftime, 20-0. Steve Walsh is thrown for 2 touchdowns. Second down and 2.
We had a lot to add to that, didn't we?
Yeah, right at the 27. Smith out to the 31-yard line. Ron Stallworth in on the tackle. Well, not much more you can say when it's 20-0. Right?
Well, you know, isn't it funny how everybody has games to look back to? Auburn, of course, looking back to their 7-6 loss to LSU. Miami clearly looking back to their loss against Notre Dame in Notre Dame. West Virginia will have their season ruined by a loss to Notre Dame. Some long winners around the country as people look back.
Both these teams 10-1. You better believe they've looked back at those individual losses.
And that one Auburn lost by only a point as Smith picks up close to 6 out at the 37-yard line. Again, if you pick this up late, Auburn comes into the game 7th ranked in both wire service polls, and Florida State 4th.
Auburn, of course, losing to LSU, as we said before, 7-6. But they gave up the lead. They were leading 6-0 with 1:36 remaining in that game.
How about this score? Auburn was a 6-point underdog.
You're right. They know everything. The 37-yard line, a reverse, and Dawsey gets just about back to the line of scrimmage, which is the 37-yard line. He is stopped there by Quentin Riggins, and we're down under a minute now to play in the first half in the U.S. F&G Sugar Bowl.
And we haven't had an instant replay yet. Nor will we.
Or a reversal.
Kind of a treat. Or an inadvertent whistle.
No, that's right. Whatever inadvertent means.
And everything has been conclusive.
I can't even spell it. Either one of those two.
Third down, call it 4.
They had a little shudder when we went by the 2-minute sign, don't they?
Right.
All right, no 2-minute warning.
We're down to 25 seconds, and Sammy Smith fights his way only to the 40-yard line, short of the first down. Quentin Riggins makes the tackle, and unless Auburn stops the clock here with a timeout, the first half will be over. And the clock keeps on ticking down. Looks like Pat Dye is ready to. He was ready, it appeared, to call a timeout, and now decides, well,
He'd He'd like to get Deon Sanders on a punt return if he could. He's the best in the nation. He thought better of it.
Yep. So it is hat time. And the first half that initially belonged very much to Florida State. Auburn then getting back into the game. And it ends with a 6-point differential. Florida State at the half leading the Auburn Tigers 13-7. And we'll return to the Superdome in New Orleans after this message and a word from your local station. Seminoles, and let's get a word from Lynn Swann.
Thank you, Al. I talked to Pat as he came out to the field for the second half, and he said he feels like a winner. Florida State got a little greedy trying to fake the field goal and go for the touchdown, so he feels like he's right in this ball game. That the first half, his team was uncharacteristic. A couple of seniors could have been out of the game for late hits. He admonished them, but encouraged his team to come back out in the second half, play the kind of football they played all year long, and he feels they'll get right back on top of this ball game early.
I agree with him.
Absolutely. He held them together in that first quarter, and that could have been a disaster. Fun man to be around, isn't he? Talk very slowly. A little overshadowed a little bit by Bobby Bowden when they get together. Bowden, a very flamboyant coach, outspoken in every way.
I asked Pat Dye, as we look at Bobby Bowden, whether or not he'd ever considered maybe going to professional football. And his remark was, well, that's the only place I would ever go. I could never go to another college and leave Auburn.
Second half starts with Shane Wasden taking it from the 3 all the way out to the 33.
Sooner or later, he is going to break one. Wasden now has been one man away a couple of times. He really zips it, and he has just about popped a couple of them.
When you look at those 4 turnovers on the lower right column of Auburn, I think you know what Lynn Swann was saying, what Pat Dye said, that it does feel like a victory when you turn it over 4 times and you go into the locker room at halftime only down by 6 points. That is a victory.
First and 10, Tigers from the 32-yard line. And Danley stopped for no gain. Second down and 10, the middle of that Florida State line, and also the linebacker Felton Hayes lugging the gap, number 46.
Well, the 2 leading tacklers for Florida State are their 2 inside linebackers, Felton Hayes being their number 2 tackler. His teammate back there, Kelvin Smith, their number 1 guy, and they are certainly the key to trying to make anything happen against Florida State on the ground.
There's Auburn 4th over the last 5 seasons as the catch is made by Greg Taylor out at the 37-yard line. You can make that the last 6 seasons as you saw that graphic and the success that Pat Dye has had with the Auburn Tigers, who are in their 7th consecutive bowl game, as are the Seminoles of Florida State.
We look at Taylor and Weigand, and I guess the question you have to ask offensively, where's Lawyer Tillman? Has not been a part of this game at all for Auburn. Their big play wide receiver.
Third down, 5 from the 37. And Slack tried to throw it away. I think he tried to shovel pass it, and it appears they're going to rule it a fumble, and Auburn recovers. Shelton Thompson was there. Eric Hayes put the pressure on. I think Slack was trying to shovel a forward pass.
Well, there was nobody in front of him, though, Al, except his offensive lineman. We're going to have to look at that up close, but there was no one anywhere near him, I don't think. There was an eligible receiver.
One thing we do know for certain, they got a big break out of it.
Brian Schulman, who's the best in the Southeastern Conference, his first kick of the night, Deon Sanders makes the catch but can't do anything with it. The nation's leading punt returner is out of bounds at the 31. Here's that play again.
Watch Reggie Slack. He's going to end up having to move to his right to get away from the pass rush. Coming from the backside, you get a good look at the pressure that chases him out. Howard Dinkins was the guy, and that's a fumble. That's just a fumble all the way, and Auburn was extremely fortunate to cover up that ball, and on top of it, they get a sensational kick.
What a
Dinkins
job.
from the outside, Eric Hayes up the middle.
What a job Schulman is doing, keeping that ball away from Deon Sanders.
Slack got lucky on that play.
Very nearly the 5th Auburn turnover. Instead, they're able to punt, and Ferguson, escaping the pressure, hits Smith. The flag is down. Sammy Smith down the sideline. He will go all the way, but a marker is down back at the 22-yard line. And this one comes back.
Oh, you got to look at that 10-3 speed for the 100 meters by Sammy Smith. This man is big, and he really kicked the motor in. A couple of Auburn players had a good angle on him, and he just sprinted away from them, even though they bring him back. What an awesome offensive force he is. Again, trouble with ribs and shoulder early on this season. After a sensational junior year, coming into tonight a little over 600 yards rushing.
Holding on the offense. 10 yards. First down.
Oh, boy, if you were the guilty Florida State holder.
I think it's Ron Stallworth, number 92, the Auburn player. You see him there to the left that forces the hold. Stallworth with that pursuit from the backside, I think, drew the holding penalty. And wow,
look at this. It's just like a sprinter. Look at that stride. Arms pumping.
That is open field acceleration.
1st and 20 is the end result from the 21-yard line. Carter, and he's brought down from behind by Tracy Rocker, who's been relatively quiet. Again, Rocker won the Outland Trophy, which goes to the best lineman in the country, and the Lombardi Trophy, which also includes linebackers.
And this is steel on steel. This is Tracy Rocker going against Pat Tomberlin, the All-American tackle for Florida State. And it was a stalemate at the line of scrimmage, but then Rocker, doing what he does so well, pursue laterally, makes the play.
Tomberlin, 300-plus pounds.
Isn't everybody on the offensive line these days?
Easy for you to say. 2nd and 18, Ferguson. Incomplete, intended for Dawsey. 3rd and 18.
I mean, if you are a 260-pound offensive lineman in college, you've got a ways to go if you want to play in the NFL.
You better start pumping the iron. Here comes Rocker again,
fighting off 2 people. Here is the Florida State offensive line. As you can see, they get bigger as you go towards the bottom.
That's bigger than Denver.
Hayward Haynes at 278 and Tomberlin at 3 bills plus. And Tomberlin, a definite pro prospect. He'll play in the NFL for a long time.
As, of course, will Rocker.
3rd and 18 in Florida State, as they are prone to do running on 3rd and long. A fumble, but the Seminoles recover. Carter gave it up, and then Dane Williams alertly was there to keep possession for the Seminoles and enable them to punt. And Joey Ionata covered it up.
Well, I guess these teams are doing a little bit of trade-off here. Auburn fumbles on 3rd down, recovers. Now Florida State fumbles on 3rd down and recovers to set up a punt.
But we're seeing the defense from Auburn that we anticipated when we came here. They have really shut Florida State down.
Shane Wasden back to accept the kick at the 37-yard line, and he brings it back to the 44. So a short kick by Tim Corlew, and a 7-yard run back, and Auburn with the football at the 44-yard line. And we'll take another peek at the fumble.
Just a straight handoff inside. Dexter Carter does a good job, breaks a tackle, but boy, just doesn't protect the football, and a good break for Florida State.
Now, this is Tiger. He is 8 years old. He is the mascot for the Auburn Tigers. I won't get into the whole story. I'll let you guys do it. But he's been the mascot for 2 years. He's 11 pounds, and I'll tell you, I really wish it was a canary.
Swanee, do we have to get into that whole story?
that sucker just ate a canary.
After 4 turnovers, Auburn's lucky it didn't turn into a turkey.
Right.
They have stayed alive.
And they start from the 45-yard line as Reggie Flatt goes deep, and it's knocked away by Shiver on the pass intended for Stacy Danley.
Shiver has shown us something tonight. Big 6'2" senior coming from way back to take that almost a sure touchdown away. The number 37, he had an interception earlier. Now watch him come from the free safety spot, crossing the field, knocks it up in the air, and it was almost picked off.
Beautiful. Look how he raised his arm to go over the top of Danley's head so he doesn't draw the interference penalty. Look at this. Right over the top. He bumps him a little bit, but that's not much of anything. That's a major league play.
Play fake, 2nd and 10. To the outside, Wegand makes the catch, and he is out of bounds, short of the first down by about 2 yards. Ball is at the Florida State 48. He's taken down by Stan Shiver. It'll be 3rd and 2. Freddie Wegand, 5th-year senior.
Freddie Wegand, I guess the expression that best suits him is here's a guy that just has been at Auburn forever. This guy, if you can believe this, was their leading receiver back, I believe, in like 1984. I mean, this guy has been playing football at Auburn since the turn of the century.
Missed the entire year of '86. And a red shirt.
And he's been pretty quiet tonight. 3rd down and 2, as has Lawyer Tillman. It'll toss to Danley, but he stopped short of the first down by Tracy Sanders, who comes up out of the secondary.
You know, talking about Wegand again, he's Auburn's 2nd all-time leading receiver. Trails only Terry Beasley, who was Pat Sullivan's favorite target back at the late 60s and early 70s. There's Freddie Wegand. But you stop and think about it, 1984 in collegiate terms was a pretty good while ago.
There's Schulman, and with the rush not on, he takes some extra time. Deon Sanders, who led the nation in punt returns, has to settle for a fair catch at the 13-yard line. And we have 10:49 to go in the 3rd quarter. It's still FSU by 6.
Roseville after his play.
Frank doesn't. From the 13-yard line, a wobbly pass is caught. And to the 29-yard line, Reggie Johnson, one of the alternating tight ends, makes the catch, and Florida State with a first down. I know one thing about that Seminole chant, it's haunting to the opposition.
Well, as often as they play it, I could see why you'd walk out of the stadium humming the tune. You know what was tough about the Rose Bowl today, Frank, was that Larry Smith, when I was at Michigan back in the late 60s and early 70s, was one of my offensive line coaches. And here he is now having to go against Tim Beckler as head coach at USC, so it's a lot of mixed emotions today.
On first down, a 2-yard gain for Sammy Smith.
Now let's say it again. I congratulate the fine effort of turning that program around out of USC. Larry Smith has done a great job, and again, as we said, congratulations to Michigan, but the Trojans were there.
Bowling coming your way. Another season of the Pro Bowlers Tour for Schenkel. Bo Burton will be there in Northern California for the ARC Pinole Open coming up on Saturday. And the 1989 debut of ABC's Wide World of Sports, Debbie Thomas and Brian Boitano. You'll watch them skate in the World Challenger Champions. Big toss on 2nd and 8, and then a drop ball by Bruce Lesane in his hand, and he couldn't hold on. 3rd and 8.
One of the fabulous 4, they call their 4 wide receivers. Ron Lewis hampered by a hamstring tonight, but ordinarily it'd be Ron Lewis, Lawrence Dawsey, Terry Anthony, and Bruce Lesane, whom you saw a moment ago. They really actually substitute for themselves. One of them gets tired, they don't care who's in there. They'll raise one hand and another one will come in.
Well, one of them may have substituted for Lesane or thought about it after that drop. Well executed by Ferguson, just a plain drop.
On 3rd and 8. Ferguson has time again. The catch is made, but can he get the first down? It's going to be close from Marion Butts, the big fullback.
Say it again.
Yep, big fullback, 248. And he plows his way for a first down.
You know, we talk about Butts weighing 248, but how about the hands? That was a fine catch by Butts. That ball was out in front of him. Here's a good look at it, I think, from the reverse angle. Watch him get the hands out, and all hands here. Oh, a beautiful catch of the football. And then, well, it's easy to do this when you're 245 plus.
Saw that marker, and he got there. He has 4.5 speed. That's amazing.
First down, and Lewis, who's playing with a pulled hamstring, makes his first catch of the night at the 47-yard line. But no, he did not make it.
They're getting conflicting calls, and now I think they're going to get together on it that it's incomplete.
One official with a better angle after one had ruled a completion. The other says no, and the other had the reverse angle look at it.
Well, the Fab Four isn't holding on to the football. This is going to be another perfect throw from Chip Ferguson. Well, just watch where this ball comes in. I mean, you can't do it any better than that. And plain to see that control by Lewis was never had. That's another drop. 2 on this drive. 1 by Lassane, that time by Ronald Lewis.
John Wiley with a good defensive play on the part of Auburn, but that one should have been tucked away.
2nd and 10. Ferguson. And another drop. Lawrence Dawsey.
Well, this is... Chip has got to be thinking, I can't catch it for you guys.
No, the Fab 4 is down to the Fab 1. Terry Anthony's the only one that hasn't dropped a pass yet on this drive.
And he dropped one early on in the game. He dropped the first one tonight that was thrown.
First one. So normally, the strength of the Florida State team, as Bobby Bowden told us, his wide receivers core has really failed him here tonight. They have not done a lot, and on this one particular drive, they've just been horrible.
3rd and 10. Florida State from the 40, 9:14 to go, 3rd quarter. Florida State leading 13-7. And on 3rd and 10, under some pressure this time, a screen is set up to Carter, and Carter works his way out to the 48-yard line, but he comes up short of the first down by 2.
I like the way Carter runs with the football, Frank. Really sets up his blockers. Get a sense that here's a guy that knows what's going on the field, the scheme and everything that's happening around him.
He's the versatile one. Good running from the backfield, good receiver out of the backfield. Smallish, 5'9", 174-pounder, just coming up barely short of that first down.
Dexter Carter, the junior, out of Paxley, Georgia. Tim Corlew's kick, fair catch called for, and made by Wasden, and a flag goes down. Because Corian Freeman was closer than the rules allowed.
It's interference with the opportunity to catch the ball. You must give the receiver 2-yard radius in order to receive the ball. 5-yard penalty.
Well, you might be able to understand that, but Wasden gave a good signal, and there's no way that Freeman should have missed it.
Well, the closest guy was Carollo. Phil Carollo, number 81, was the nearest Florida State guy. Well, let's look at this. Now watch the left. There's 81, Carollo. Oh, bogus. Bogus. Oh, come on, guys. Let him play ball.
Well, it didn't cost much.
But what do you really think about it?
I'll tell you later.
Auburn beginning its next possession with 8:25 to go in the 3rd quarter. Then a scoreless second half. Florida State on top, 13-7. From the 26-yard line, Stacey Danley moves ahead for about 6. One thing about Florida State, if they win this game, they would figure to move up to number 3, because Notre Dame will be number 1, little doubt. Miami is winning, so they would figure to be number 2, and then Florida State would supplant Virginia as number 3.
Well, unfortunately, number 1 is all that counts.
They don't remember a whole lot about 2s, 3s, and 4s.
No, they don't pay off for win, place, and show in college football. 2nd and 3. Danley, good move to the 41-yard line. Stopped by Higgins and Kelvin Smith.
You just get the feeling that the longer this game goes on, and Florida State doesn't score any more points, the more nervous this man is going to become, because I don't know that there's any way that Auburn is going to finish this game with only 7 points on the scoreboard. I sure get the feeling that they're on the verge of exploding.
First and 10 at the 42-yard line. This is Joseph, and he's hit by number 46, Felton Hayes, for no gain. You know, I was talking about Auburn or Florida State and what might happen if they win. If Auburn wins, they could conceivably be ranked as high as 3rd, because West Virginia has lost. Auburn would have beaten Florida State tonight. USC has lost, and Nebraska's losing to Miami, so it's conceivable Auburn could fall 4 spots.
They certainly will have been the closest to an undefeated season with only a 1-point loss to LSU.
That's a pretty tough schedule they play, too, here in the Southeast Conference.
2nd and 10. Here's Danley. 6 hard-earned yards to the 47, setting up a 3rd and 4. Kelvin Smith is again in on the tackle. 6:25 to go, 3rd quarter. Let's take a look at that Auburn schedule. And they beat Tennessee 38-6 prior to handling North Carolina. There's that one blemish right there, that 5th game, 7-6 to LSU. And as you can see, very few close games down the stretch.
They led that one right up until the final minute and a half.
On 3rd and 4, Danley takes the swing pass and can only get to the 48-yard line. And so they'll have to kick, and Schulman will come in on 4th and 3.
Good defensive series there by Florida State. Talk about Florida State getting in trouble. We have to keep in mind, too, that they've only lost twice in 2 years, and both of those losses to Miami.
Ryan Schulman to kick. Again, Deon Sanders has not had a chance to run one back tonight. And again, he will not have a chance because it's a fair catch made at the 13-yard line. And the Florida State fans want interference on that call, but they don't get it. 39-yard punt. 5:25 to go in the 3rd. Headlines is Lynn Swan. Lynn?
Thank you very much. I'm with 2 cheerleaders for the Seminoles. Allison is the older one, and this is Lauren. How long has Lauren been doing this for you?
This is her first season. She's been to 3 games. She was at the Florida State game, the Michigan State game, and now she came to the bowl with us.
And when you cheer for the Seminoles, what do you say?
Go Seminoles.
Okay, thank you. And they're doing a good job so far, aren't they? You're going to be a cheerleader when you grow up? Just like your aunt up there, huh?
Give them a hug.
Oh. Thank you, guys. This is the best job in the house.
You bet.
I'm going to redshirt her and bring her back in about 5 years.
Seminoles have it at the 14-yard line. A little toss to Smith, swinging to the outside, breaks the tackle, and fights his way out for a gain of 7. Finally stopped by Alvin Mitchell.
Yeah, there are a lot of pro scouts looking on tonight. Well, several of them here, and they are seeing a class performance of total potential in this man.
How did he get outside? That's 7 yards. That is nothing but the ability to have that has that speed that can get around that corner, Frank. That play looked like nothing when it started to unfold.
The great ones are big, and like Dickerson, you never can calculate their speed. They're so big, they do not look like they're moving that quickly as Sammy Smith is.
And he has outrushed Auburn tonight. And he'll pick up a couple of more, and he's close to a 1st down. He takes it to the 24-yard line. Sammy has now picked up 84 yards tonight, which is significant because Auburn has not yielded a 100-yard game since '86 when Bobby Humphrey did it for Alabama against the Tigers.
Florida State trying to go back to what was effective for them in the opening moments of the game. They were able to move the ball so well on the ground. Auburn has shut them down pretty much here in the 2nd half.
Well, and Florida State has shut themselves down as well. Remember, Sammy Smith scores a touchdown on a play that gets called back because of a holding. That would have made this a 20-7 ball game, and really a great deal more pressure on Auburn than they currently have.
A 1st down.
New Year's Eve all over again
for the Seminoles. Well, there's nothing like New Year's Eve in New Orleans. I mean, on one street corner the other night, we saw a guy dressed as a coyote, another as a gnat, another as a mackerel, another as a seal.
There was one that was dressed as a canoe.
Unbelievable.
It was a fun night.
On one corner.
You're not kidding.
From the 24-yard line. The catch is made by the tight end, Tom O'Malley, and a 1st down at the 45.
O'Malley is big. He went up like a kangaroo to get that, coming down right at near midfield. O'Malley is from Darien, Connecticut. Somehow worked his way to Florida State. His family's here. I was talking with him earlier that he can go up high for it. There he is. Big number 92, a senior, 6'3". And he gets the first down up close to the 44-yard line.
You kind of get the impression that O'Malley wasn't supposed to be a starter. A tight end wearing number 92. You kind of give those numbers to guys you don't expect to be on the field very often.
From the 44-yard line, Ferguson throws, and is the catch made? No. A late ruling no. Lawrence Dawsey doesn't hold on.
Well, Carlo Cheatham was the guy making the ruling. The Auburn defensive back. You could all see him in there waving his arms, no catch, and the officials bought it.
Bobby Bowden obviously didn't see it the same way.
Well, let's see what we can see from behind. You can see the ball is kind of dropping, but again, a sensational throw by Ferguson.
And a sensational catch. He had the ball.
Boy, I don't see the ball hitting the ground. I don't see the ball hitting the ground at all. I can sympathize with Bobby Bowden. It looked like a catch from behind.
Bowden had a good view of it. Sensational catch.
2nd and 10. And Smith fights his way for 9 to the 47 of Auburn.
You know, as we watch this game and as we follow Florida State offensively, at the conclusion of the game tonight, Chip Ferguson's numbers aren't going to correspond with actually how good of a game he played. I think he's thrown the ball absolutely fabulously tonight and hasn't had a great deal of help from his supporting cast.
The last drive, we saw 3 consecutive drops right into the receiver's hands.
I think Ferguson's
exactly right.
Been sharp.
3rd and 1 from the 47. And they give it to Marion Butts, and the 248-pound fullback has a first down, taking it to the 41. And again, you saw that graphic illustrating what we discussed before. Auburn not allowing a 100-yard game to a running back since Humphrey in 1986 did it for Alabama. 24 games, but Sammy Smith is on the verge tonight.
Did you see Greg Staples, the defensive back for Auburn? He came up and he put a shot on Butts, and he drove him back. Give him credit for that, but boy, he wounded himself in the process. Staples remains in the game, but he's not himself.
From the 41, Ferguson, and another drop, and a classic example right there through the hands of Tom O'Malley. So Ferguson, about 90% of the time tonight, right on the money, but his completion percentage far, far lower.
That'll be nearly a half a dozen or so that have been dropped. And again, good protection. Ferguson with a lot of time to throw. He's had that most of the night. But you can't throw it a whole lot better than that.
No, you can't. Not to a guy who's got
it right to the defender.
Got a linebacker on his hip. O'Malley is there, has the ball right in his hands.
Well, he's 11 for 21. He could easily be 17 or 18 for 21.
Agreed.
2nd and 10 from the 41-yard line. Fake toss. And this time the catch is made at the 26-yard line. Anthony holds on. So finally they hold on, and also give a lot of credit to that Auburn or the Florida State offensive line. Again, Ferguson with a lot of time as he went back to pass.
And a nifty pass by Ferguson. High percentage on the year, and this was thrown into a crowd. It was thrown exactly where it had to be for Anthony to come down with. A good concentration by Anthony, but a well-delivered football by Chip Ferguson.
Well, the ones we've seen drop, they were all easier than that one. The one that was caught was the most difficult catch of all.
Maybe you concentrate more.
At the 26-yard line. Smith. And that should take him over 100 as he takes it to the 19-yard line. Sammy Smith. When the season began, they were touting him for the Heisman. He came up way, way short, of course.
And we've got an Auburn player down out there, Al, back at the 10-yard line.
It's Carlo Cheatham, the cornerback, the left corner.
Cheatham was away from the play, a good 15, 20 yards away from where Sammy Smith goes out of bounds. Let's see if we can see it. He's going one-on-one with Terry Anthony. Oh, and there's a good look at it right there. Anthony making the block on a running play. Cheatham tries to jump over the top of Anthony, and when he comes back down, plants his foot, and it gets rolled right up on by Terry Anthony.
So there he is, Sammy Smith, and teams, of course, have rushed for over 100 against Auburn. But
you missed
not
it.
an individual since '86.
If you missed it, they called back a long touchdown scamper because of holding. He's had quite a night.
Well, Cheatham is able to get up and will come off with assistance.
You can see both his knee flex inward plus his ankle roll in as well. No use trying to speculate which of the two is the more injured than the other, but we can only hope Carlo Cheatham is back before the night's over.
Big year for Cheatham. All Southeast Conference. We'll look at it once again.
Again, watch him jump to try to get out of the way, and then when he comes back down there, boy, the ankle really rolled in. Looked like his ankle more than anything else is flexed.
Doug Huntley takes his spot. It's 2nd and 3 from the 19-yard line. And up the middle goes Dane Williams, close to a first down. They have to get to just about the 16-yard line, and they'll spot it at the 17. It'll be 3rd and a little bit less than a yard.
Have you noticed the way that Chip Ferguson has been carrying out his fakes, rolling to the outside? What that means is the coaches up in the press box are watching how the Auburn defense responds to that. The last time he rolled out, no one from Auburn paid any attention to Chip Ferguson at all. Granted, he didn't have the ball that time, but he may coming up.
3rd and 1, and Dexter Carter fights his way for a first down. And so this drive continues, a time-consuming drive. We have only 1:43 to play in the 3rd quarter, and Florida State on top by 6.
Boy, what a big part of the Florida State offense Dexter Carter has been tonight. Littlest man out there at 5'9", 174 pounds, and he has played very tall tonight. On the receiving end, the rushing end, that was just an extra effort by Dexter Carter to get a key first down inside the 15. He's a tough little cookie.
On first down, again the fake by Ferguson, and throws it out of the end zone. Reggie Johnson was the intended receiver. But Ferguson has great instincts, avoiding the rush. His line has done a real good job tonight, but when Auburn has broken through, Ferguson takes that one little step, and he'll also stay in there and take a hit when he has to.
Yeah, Bobby Bowden told us that Chip Ferguson will wait to the last moment. Watch the rush from the backside by Brian Smith, number 90. Ferguson sees him coming all the way and really made a conscious decision at the last minute to throw that ball out of the back of the end zone.
And a good one it was.
Yeah, it sure was. I think Ferguson has played a whale of a ball game tonight.
2nd and 10. This is the 13th play of the drive. And the catch is made by Dawsey, and he is wrestled down at the 11-yard line after a gain of 4. John Wiley makes the tackle. Update from Miami. Hurricanes out on top by 20. 23-3 over Nebraska.
And you really wonder if Nebraska's offense is the type of offense that can play catch-up football against really a superb defensive unit of Miami.
3rd and 7.
There it is.
Ferguson fighting his way, and he might have the first down, depending on the spot inside the 5. He is stopped by number 95, David Rocker, brother of Tracy.
Remember, touched on it a moment ago, and watch, nobody stays with Ferguson. The little bootleg, he decides to run instead of put the ball in the air. And a good effort, but you have got to contain a quarterback. They've shown this several times tonight. You have to know it's in their offensive game plan, and he got totally outside free, and he could have either thrown the ball or run the ball. He chose to run, and he gets the first down. Ferguson's playing some football game, and as you said, Dan, his statistics may not be all they should be tonight because of all the drops he's had.
Well, they've been setting this play up now for the last 7 or 8 times they ran the ball. It was only 3 or 4 plays ago that I told you that Ferguson continues to roll out afterwards. They're looking for a soft spot, and they found it.
1st and goal, Florida State at the 4. And Ferguson will take a timeout. Well, Bobby Bowden described him yesterday as a blue-collar quarterback. He said he'd make a good linebacker, releases the ball at the right time, stands in the pocket. Bobby not happy, though, about this particular timeout call at this juncture because it comes, as you can see, with 5 seconds to go in the third period. So Bobby is saying, hey, wait a second, you could have been here in 5 seconds and we wouldn't have had to use the timeout. So a rare mental mistake tonight by Florida State.
And there he is with the senior quarterback, but he knew he had a good one back when Chip Ferguson was a freshman in the Gator Bowl win over Oklahoma State that year. And his freshman year, Chip Ferguson was 20 of 43, over 330 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and Bobby Bowden knew he had a good one for a long time to come.
You know what happened there was, it was kind of interesting. They stopped the clock for the measurement, then they restarted it, and then Ferguson lost track of how much time remained. As we say, they really wasted a timeout here because the quarter is over in 5 seconds anyway.
Now, when you get it down in this close, you don't want to make any major mistake because whereas they were dominating Auburn early in the game, this has turned into a real dogfight. And we talked about Auburn battling back. Well, how about Florida State? They've come back also, because they were being pushed around rather convincingly.
So first and goal with Butts and Williams, the running back, in this tight set. And Dane Williams burrows his way to the 1-yard line, where it'll be second and goal at the other end of the Superdome, because the third quarter has come to an end. At the end of 3, and the third quarter was a scoreless period, 13-7 Florida State. And back we come to the Superdome in New Orleans after this message and a word from your local station. And Dan Deerdorf with Lynn Swan patrolling the sidelines as we start the fourth quarter. Second and goal for Florida State.
Good football game.
And a good long drive here for Florida State. This drive began at their own 14-yard line. And this will be the 16th play.
And they were struggling when they started this drive.
Williams, the fullback. And he's their short yardage guy. He scored their first touchdown, and he's short of the goal line here. It's third down inside the 1.
And this is the kind of a drive that wins football games. Reestablishes confidence, demoralizes the other team, chews up a lot of time off the clock, adds to a lead. The kind of drive that when you look back, both coaches have a tendency to view it as the drive that tipped the balance of a football game.
You know where Bobby Bowden likes to go when he runs. Takes it right over the big man, Pat Tomberlin, his All-American tackle, 300-pounder over the right side.
Third and goal. Off the fake, they swing it out. Is that a lateral pass? I believe it is.
I don't know. It depends if we're in Cleveland or not.
At the 19-yard line, they're going to rule it a lateral and an Auburn recovery. Clint Reagan.
Oh, baby. That's a lateral all the way.
Oh, and you have to play it if there's any doubt at all in your mind. And Sammy Smith, you've got to cover that no matter what it is.
Watch where Ferguson's feet are, right on the 5. Oh, that's a lateral by 3.5 yards. And Sammy Smith doesn't really get a chance to cover it. The ball's kicked by one of the Auburn players
And underthrown.
Brian Smith, I believe, was the linebacker who got out there and kicked the ball. Boy, what a wasted drive by Florida State.
First and 10 Auburn at the 18. Danley. Gain of 1. Felton Hayes and Odell Higgins make the tackle.
There can be no doubt that this is a lateral by a good couple of yards, and Smith, while it wasn't the greatest of efforts it might look like to cover it up, really had no chance at all as Brian Smith all over him. And this guy knows it's a live ball. He knows it's a lateral. And he says, that's the best thing that's happened to me all night.
That is a reprieve from the governor.
Whoa.
Second and 8 from the 20. Reggie Slack, all the time in the world. And finally, Lawyer Tillman. So where's the lawyer when you need him? He finally shows up.
The big man, and again, great protection for Reggie Slack. All the time he wanted until Lawyer Tillman uncovered. Here he is, 6'4", 220 pounds, working against the zone. He's chucked by the up man, turns in behind the linebacker and wide open, and Reggie Slack was right there with it.
See how Tillman caught that ball with his hands? Always a sign of a good receiver. Even when it's coming right to your chest, catch it with the hands.
From the 35-yard line, Reggie Slack. And open over the middle is Freddie Wagan. So their two key wide receivers have been pretty quiet tonight, but all of a sudden they've both gotten noisy. First down, Auburn at midfield.
Very simple pass route. Freddie Wagan split to the far side. Just runs a deep curl right into the zone. And I'll tell you what this pattern needs. Watch Wagan, how deep he goes, and then it's a soft curve into the middle. You need great protection. That's a pattern that takes a long time to develop. And Reggie Slack had nothing but time.
Auburn at the 48 of Florida State.
Counter gap.
Stanley, good hole, and they ran it just like Washington did it in the Super Bowl last year to the 41-yard line. Stanley playing the Timmy Smith role for a gain of 8.
That's it all the way.
Boy, we've seen that play for a little late.
Here it is. Watch the two off linemen, the guard and the tackle pull. Watch the counter step this direction, then back into the hole. Everybody runs it. There's the counter step. The two off linemen in front of him. Jim Thompson, the tackle gets through, makes the block. You know, it's a good play no matter where you run it, all the way down to junior football.
2nd and 2 at the 41. Stanley, a first down to the 33.
Frank Stanley doesn't exactly hug that ball to his torso, does he?
He looks like a lot of other 32s that we've watched. He carries it a little loosely. They tried to convince him to hold on to the football, and what were they saying? They had practiced for an hour, scrimmage for an hour early in the week, and running Stanley on sweeps. They were very concerned about the way he carried the ball, the way he covered it.
This was last year when he was a freshman. 30 and 40 times in a row on a Monday, they'd make him carry the ball to teach him how to protect it.
1st and 10, fake toss. Stanley escaping the initial pressure. Running and gets to the 26-yard line and turns what would have been a sack into a 7-yard gain. Reggie Slack.
Again, that's made possible partly by the athletic ability of Reggie Slack, but at the same time, it's an absence of a Florida State pass rush. One guy comes through, Odell Hagens, but you can see he was on his way down. And then it's number 93, Shelton Thompson, but he gets faked by Slack, and again, a superior athletic play by Reggie Slack.
Good athlete, and out of Milton, Florida, Milton High School, where he was a defensive back, a running back, and a quarterback there in his high school years, and you saw that athletic ability a moment ago.
2nd and 3 from the 26. Lawyer Tillman, it's ruled a catch, and a first down at the 16.
He's locked up one-on-one with Deon Sanders. And Sanders, interestingly enough, watch it. He won't even hit Lawyer Tillman. Deon Sanders is just going to make an assumption that this ball is going to be too low to be caught. You know, if you're a defensive back, you got to come flying in there, try to make something happen. Jar it loose, whatever. Tough to be a spectator and make anything positive happen.
First down at the 16-yard line. Stanley threading his way to the 13 for a gain of 3. 9:45 to go in the game. Florida State leading 13-7.
This is a strange game, this game of football. A couple of minutes ago, Florida State is threatening to put this baby on ice. And here we are now. Auburn somehow continues to stay in this football game. And again, they're the ones threatening to take the lead.
Two well-coached football teams, you can say that. Both teams have been on the ropes at one time or another this evening.
2nd and 7 from the 13. Danley initially hit, and then the second hit puts him down back at the 15, a loss of 2. Stan Shiver making the initial contact, slowing him down. It'll be 3rd down.
You got to like Stan Shiver. He is a hitter. Played a whale of a game tonight for Florida State, not only coming up to make the tackles, he's had the key interception, he's provided good coverage for them. Real leader back there.
They bring him on the safety blitz. He's got 3 sacks this year. This is the type of situation where the Seminoles like to bring Shiver, rather.
3rd and 10 from the 16. Black flips it out, but no gain as the catch is made by Danley. Actually, he falls forward for a yard, but they're at the 15 now. 4th down. Felton Hayes comes up to make the tackle. So 4th down and 9 at the 15-yard line.
Florida State has the defense when they have to have it.
Well, and what do you do now if you're Pat Dye and the Auburn Tigers? 4th down and 9. A field goal makes it a 13-10 ball game.
You know, in the back of his mind, he's denying. He's thinking about last year. He's thinking, wait a minute, I kick a field goal here. Now I'm setting up another possible field goal at the end for another tie. We'll find out in a moment. They take a timeout.
4th and 9. You have to kick it.
He doesn't want to be tie-dyed.
For 1st down.
At the 15. Black under pressure.
No.
And they throw a flag, and they're going to rule it a sack. As he throws it away, Howard Dinkins came charging through. Intentional grounding and a loss of down and a loss of a football.
Well, that's a meaningless penalty anyway, because they turn it over on downs even without the penalty.
Yeah, but Dan, they would have turned it over at the 15-yard line, and given the defense that they have, I think this factored into his decision as to whether or not he would attempt to go for it. The sack, this is really critical for them. They lose the down and they get the penalty all the way back out over their own 37-yard line.
I find that the choice to go on 4th and 9 when the stranger calls, I've seen it in a long time.
But you got to go back to last year, no doubt in my mind. First of the bowl matchups, but it figured to be a pretty intriguing game, and it has been.
Tough, hard-hitting game. The decision, again, Dan, you don't like it.
Well, no, I just don't see how, when you've been trailing the entire ball game, you can get at that position on the football field and run the risk of coming away with no points. We're not dealing with 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. We're dealing with a 4th and 9 situation. The odds are really against you scoring in that situation.
And it's compounded by the fact you get the throwing the ball away penalty, and then instead of turning the ball over down at the 15-yard line, now you turn it up over out about the 37-yard line.
I'm convinced in my mind, if last year hadn't have happened, that Dye would have kicked the field goal right there and taken his chances.
But you can't coach on what happened a year ago.
I agree. 36-yard line. Smith busts loose and fights his way to the 46-yard line. He turns no gain into a possible 1st down. Close enough to measure.
It's a super football game, and I really think what entered into Pat Dye's mind, I've got the #1 defense in college football. If I leave it down there, my guys are going to get it back. They're going to hold him at the 15-yard line. I'm going to force them to punt. I'm going to get the ball back at midfield. And what's happened now, you get the penalty, and all of a sudden you get an extra effort by Sammy Smith, and all of a sudden Florida State is out near midfield.
2nd and inches from the 46-yard line. And it's Williams for a 1st down. You know what I think, guys? I'm sure he's thinking in his mind, he knows he needs a touchdown at some point, because he knows even if he kicks the field goal there, he's not going to settle for a field goal. He's going to have to try to win the game, so he figures, well, I might as well try it here. But I agree with you. 4th and 9, a very curious call.
You take the field goal, in my estimation, and Pat Dye certainly disagrees with my opinion. I mean, he expressed that by what he called. But, you know, you can come back and kick another field goal and make it 13-13. But with 8 minutes left in the ball game at that time, hey, there's an opportunity. You could kick 2 field goals. You could have won it 16-13. I mean, I don't think you let a tie enter your mind with 8 minutes left in a football game.
Well, it'll make a good sidebar tomorrow, and Ferguson catches his own tip pass and then bats it forward. Brian Smith was the man who blocked it.
And you will watch a lot of football until you see a smarter play than that. Because if Ferguson catches the ball,
The pass was tipped. The quarterback knocked it to the ground. It's simply an incomplete pass.
That's exactly what it is, but it is also simply the saving of about 15 yards by Chip Ferguson. If he catches the football, he gets tackled, and he loses 15 yards. This is quick thinking on your feet.
And under a whole lot of pressure, because you can see it, Brian Smith right in his face, bats the ball away, and quickly Ferguson gets rid of it.
Yep, that's smart.
Although he whale of a game all night.
Almost held on to it too long, didn't he?
Had he held on to it too long, and it would have been a fumble. 2nd and 10, Smith. Look at Smith. Smith, I think, was something to prove tonight. Here's a guy they were touting for the Heisman early on, and he didn't figure, of course, in the balloting at all, and had a very disappointing season, bothered with injuries, etc. And tonight, putting on a pretty good show, a real good show.
Against the #1 defense in college football, and a lot must be going through Sammy Smith's mind. We mentioned earlier, a redshirt senior could go professional if he wanted to. He's going to have to make that decision, and he says he'll make it very shortly.
Saints ought to think about drafting him. He's got his 2 best games of the year in the stadium. 3rd and 6 from the 48. Set up the screen to Dane Williams. Oh! And a first down. That's the 36.
Dane Williams, who already has a touchdown tonight, on a short plunge into the end zone, this time shows his receiving skills. Another good pass from Ferguson, who I think is just playing an outstanding football game. And Air Williams, I guess, as he takes it upstairs.
Not a whole lot of cutting back on the part of Dane Williams. He just went for it and paid for it.
And that was Carlo Cheatham, and we saw the last time we saw Cheatham, number 35, he was being helped off the field, who made that tackle.
That's right, Carlo Cheatham. Remember, he got cut down by Terry Anthony, flexed his ankle, back in there. Good news.
Just wants to let the Seminoles know he's back in. Carter. And Dexter Carter has done a very unsung job tonight as the backup to Sammy Smith.
I've been singing about him. He is a tough guy, 5'9", 174 pounds. Good receiver, good running back. I tell you, when you're that size, you take it back across the middle against that defense, breaking the grain, getting the extra yardage. You're showing me something.
Hey, he plays bigger than he is. I mean, some guys weigh 170 and play that way. They're scat backs. They're the mosquito type of runner that just kind of bounces around. But not Carter. Carter's a guy that'll take it between the tackles with regularity.
2nd and 5 from the 31. There's Carter again. And he gets to the 28-yard line, and a very key play coming up here. Not only is Florida State trying to get the first down, but if they are able to, it'll keep taking time off that clock. We're under 5 minutes. This may be the most action-packed, scoreless half I have ever seen. Not a point on the board, but the team's marching up and down the field. There it is. Nothing but goose eggs.
A good football game going back and forth, and we haven't had to talk about wild cards and home field advantage.
3rd and 1 from the 28.
Oh, a nice play by Stallworth.
Ron Stallworth.
These are 2 teams that are fundamentally sound.
Chip Ferguson wanted to get rid of that football. He would have liked to have gotten rid of it. He knew he should have gotten rid of it because of the field goal range possibility, but great coverage on the part of John Wiley over on the wide side of the field. There's no place to put this football. Here comes the blitz.
But it's that same rollout that they tried and ran before, Frank, successfully, and you just don't do that this many times. Stallworth is sitting there waiting for it. Burned once is, it's one thing. To be burned twice is stupidity, and there's nobody stupid on the Auburn defensive side of the ball.
Good defensive teamwork.
And after that big play, they're forced to kick. And Florida State will be pinning Auburn very, very deep. At the 4. Tim Corlew's kick is down there, and so Auburn with the ball. 3:28 to go, and Florida State on top 13-7 in the USF&G Sugar Bowl. The Sugar Bowl, and it's been a good one. Comes down to a conclusion here. The Orange Bowl is over, so this is it. The 7th and final bowl game of the day. Wrapping up War Eagle. And the Auburn Tigers begin from the 4-yard line as Slack from his end zone throws complete out to the 21-yard line to Walter Reeves, the tight end, who has scored the only Tiger touchdown tonight.
When you take 3 minutes and 21 seconds like we have remaining now in college football, where the clock stops whenever you get a first down while they move the chains, 3 minutes and 21 seconds is an eternity. And Reggie Slack from his own end zone, just a picture-perfect throw to Walter Reeves, who, if he somehow could have stayed on his feet, really had a lot of real estate in front of him.
1st and 10 from the 21. And Slack hits Lawyer Tillman at the 37 for a first down. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining.
Again, you have to have the protection to do that, and Reggie Slack twice now has had the protection. Here's Tillman, bottom of your screen, big number 85. We told you he's 6'4", 220, big target, slides into the zone defense, found the little opening, and Slack was right there.
His 3rd catch of the night, all in this half. On 1st and 10, pressured out of the pocket. Slack from the sideline throws it out of bounds. The intended receiver was Vincent Harris.
But that's a situation where some quarterbacks, and I'm going to say the majority of quarterbacks, are forced into a sack, because that was really defensed pretty well by Florida State. And it took Reggie Slack's athletic ability to get to the outside and keep from getting sacked. He stayed alive, and as a result, they'll have a 2nd and 10 rather than a 2nd and maybe 17 or 18.
Auburn, 1984. Al Del Greco kicked a field goal to beat Michigan 9-7. And then last year, the 16-16 tie, Win Lyle's field goal with 1 second left. Stanley stopped at the 37-yard line, a minimal gain, a negligible one at best.
Screen pass that didn't happen. The screen men never got out in front of it.
Pickup of a yard, 3rd down and 9 now with 2:10 and counting left in the game. 3rd and 9 from the 38.
You might say this is a big play.
Yeah. And Slack slings it out of bounds. Intended for Greg Taylor, and he was covered very well on the play. It's 4th down. So 4th and 9 from the 38. Again, each team with 2 timeouts, and Pat Sullivan is now with the clock stopped. You saw Sullivan signaling for the timeout, so they're going to use one here, and it simply means if they don't make it, they can only stop it once more, and if they don't make it, they'll be celebrating in Tallahassee. 1:52 to play. 1:52 to play.
Got to think one of the 2 guys, wouldn't you say, Dan, that have been open for you, Walter Reeves, the all-conference tight end number 86, or Lawyer Tillman, who all of a sudden has livened up this ball game here in the 2nd half.
During the course of the evening, the guy that's been there with the most regularity has been Walter Reeves. That'd be my choice.
Taylor in motion on 4th and 9. And Slack throws. He has a man open. First down, Freddie Wagan. At the Seminole 45-yard line.
And the best of all worlds, of course, in college football, I guess you stop the clock when you move the chains, but good effort by Wakard, the leading receiver for Auburn.
The guy who's been there forever, Freddie Wagan, just running a sideline out pattern and given all sorts of room by Neon Deon. And the all-world cornerback clearly asleep at the switch there. Why he gave Wagan all that room, I'll never know.
They dump it off to Danley, and he tries to get out of bounds to conserve some time, and does, but it's a loss on the play. Back to his own 48-yard line.
Isn't it something how on a 4th and long play, Auburn challenges the best cornerback in the country in Deon Sanders. and Deon Sanders was asleep at the switch. There's no other way to describe a guy with his abilities giving that much room on the corner.
That man you just saw told us he would do exactly that yesterday. Pat Dye said, well, we have to go at him. We think we respect him as a defensive back, but we are going to challenge him tomorrow. And they just have with a big one.
Prime time was watching Sermonette from the 50. Under pressure, and it's dropped at the 50-yard line by Wright. Really no damage there, as it turns out. Had he caught it, he'd have been tackled right away, and he was just at the line of scrimmage anyway.
He would have lost 3 or 4 if he'd have caught it. How about Reggie Slack and his athletic ability to avoid the rush? I saw no way that he wasn't going to go down under that pressure. See, Pat knows that they're better off dropping that ball. That play was going nowhere.
Dinkins and Higgins made that happen.
With
a big rush.
How did Slack stay alive? I don't know.
This drive starting at the Auburn 4. 3rd and 15. And Slack finds Taylor, and he's out of bounds at the 40-yard line. He's 4 yards short of the first down. So the ball game again at hand here on 4th and 4 coming up from the 40.
But he did stop the clock.
And 125.
Auburn down with 1 timeout. So a very key play.
Yeah, they don't get a first down, and the clock will stop again.
He could have tried to turn it up and get that first down, but if he missed it, then they would have been in a lot more trouble than they are right now.
Here we go.
4th and 4 at the 40. Again, the pressure is on. Slack throws, hits Tillman, and Lawyer Tillman a first down at the 33-yard line. Deon Sanders with the coverage.
Clutch stuff by the big wide receiver Tillman. Deon Sanders in a zone defense at the time.
Yeah, that's
Tillman just passed off to him. So you can't blame him totally for it. No, you got to play him tight when they need 4 yards.
Sanders really has the coverage on the outside receiver, Freddie Wagan. That was really quite an effort by Sanders coming up and closing in a hurry.
As it turns out, to make the tackle. First down, dumped over the middle. The catch is made by Danley at the 29-yard line. Again, Auburn has only 1 timeout. Hayes and Smith converge on the tackle. Clock down to 55.
They're going to go from the line of scrimmage.
Second and 5 from the 29-yard line. Slack under duress, incomplete.
Oh, you're watching an athlete.
Oh. Hayes with the pressure.
I guess so.
Cool, calm, former running back and defensive back in high school, and he's showing that athletic skill here tonight under a lot of pressure. Closing minutes of the big game of the year for Auburn, the Sugar Bowl, and he's up to it.
Look at his face. I mean, look at that nonchalant expression. I know I mentioned it early in the game. I think back to what Pat Dye told us yesterday. Nothing seems to faze this guy. Regardless of the situation, he has a presence. He has his wits about him. Nothing shakes this guy up.
3rd and 5 at the 29-yard line. Slack over the middle, too high. Intended for Shane Wasden, and so Slack, who has converted 2 fourth-down plays on this drive, 1 to Wagan, the other to Tillman, will have to do it again. And only that kind of a hat trick will keep Auburn alive.
Bowden in the prevent defense that the alumni hate. Most people hate. It gives up a lot of yardage, but they've got to get 6. Good try, good effort, and again, against that kind of defense, you're always lucky you don't get it picked off when you don't hit your receiver. Auburn takes its final timeout to go over this one. Another 4th down play coming up. 31 seconds left. As Auburn tries to keep it alive, they've done it twice successfully on 4th down. It is 4th down and 6. Now, one thing that guy has avoided last year's scenario. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if he kicks the field goal the last time, they're in a position when they're down here. The possibility would be of a game-tying field goal, and you can say Well, boy, I know he doesn't want to be in that same situation as last year, but I don't know. If the alternative is losing,
Sure.
I'll take the tie.
I don't know whether it was calculated or not, but it might have forced Florida State to play a different kind of defense than they're playing right now also.
4th and 6 at the 29. And Slack, can he do it again? The catch is made at the 23-yard line. Taylor. First down.
So the change and stop the clock.
Well, I know one thing. We've already had to vote for a Most Valuable Player award. I want my ballot back if Auburn wins this football game.
I might want it back whether they lose.
Because what a drive by Reggie Slack. Look at that catch. Greg Taylor in the air, holds on. Oh, this is some drive.
1st and 10 from the 22. This drive started at their own 4-yard line. Slack is dropped, incomplete, intended for Wasden, and that took 5 seconds. They're down to 19, and they do not, according to the board, they have 1 timeout, but I thought that they had taken all 3.
What a hit on Wasden.
Yeah, do we call that a drop or a knock loose?
That was just taken right out of his hands by Leroy Butler.
Really, the pass was behind him. Very difficult catch for Wasden to try to hold on to, that ball being behind him. But you're right, a vicious blow.
2nd and 10. Slack throwing, knocked down.
Oh, that looked like interference initially.
Ooh.
Wagan, the intended receiver, and Dodge covering.
Ooh. Looked like Dodge made contact before the ball got there. I think we're going to have to look at this.
Dodge alternates with Butler, who put the hit on Watson a moment ago, and he puts the hit this time on.
You be the judge. That's Derek Dodge coming in from behind. Oh, that's interference. Oh! And they just see that on the board right here. Derek Dodge gets away with manslaughter. They'll be talking about this one in Alabama for a while.
3rd and 10 from the 22. Slack picked off by Primetime.
What timing?
Neon Deon with his name up in lights.
Saying it's not over. But it is over.
When Deon Sanders walks all the way over by the Auburn bench to do a little jawing, and Lawyer Tillman just a little late taking a break on the football. Deon Sanders looked more like the receiver than Lawyer Tillman. Really a pretty good throw. And Tillman doesn't come back to the football.
And it's 10:55 Eastern, so still 5 minutes left in prime time.
Sanders with his 6th interception of the year. Great athlete, great sprinter. We talked about the running back from Florida State, Sammy Smith, with his 10-3 for the 100.
But everybody in Auburn is going to say it should have been our ball at the 1-yard line, that was interference on Dedrick Dodge. Here it is again. This is the play previous to the interception by Deon Sanders.
Watch number 28. He is Derek Dodge. Coming right over Wagan. Wham! The back of the head. The ball's not there.
That should have been called, folks. That should have been called, and wasn't.
And so the game will end as Ferguson covers up. And again, a scoreless second half, but more action than I think any of us have ever seen in a scoreless 30 minutes.
2 solid football teams, well coached. Each of them got in trouble. Each of them battled back. Pain and the agony of the defeat. Give him credit. Deon Sanders was there when he had to be.
I think exemplary play tonight by the two quarterbacks, Reggie Slack and by Chip Ferguson. These two played a big-time game tonight.
All right, let's get a word from Lynn Swan.
Okay, thank you very much, Pat. First of all, when you had a chance to go for the field goal, you're behind by 6 points. You decided to go for the touchdown.
We really, if we kick the field goal, then we got to kick a field goal plus score a touchdown to win. If we score a touchdown, we're going to win anyway. So I said, what the heck?
Was last year's tie on your mind? Not at all? The pass interference, or what was not called as pass interference, Wiggins in the goal line.
You know, I mean, you can't go back to one play. You know, they've got a great football team. I'm just proud that our kids hung in there and fought and showed the kind of character that they've got, because we certainly didn't play very well then. It was obviously not a very well played football game on our part, particularly offensively. Defensively, we played about as well as we can play now. They moved the football and had some success, but we expected that. We kept them out of the end zone, and you know, the way our offense put our defense in the hole tonight, we're mighty lucky to get out of here with 13 points.
Coach, thank you very much.
Great football game, and Coach Bowden and his staff and his team deserves all the credit in the world.
Thank you very much, Coach. Al?
That's a classy man right there.
Oh, yeah.
A good look there at not wanting to beef about a call or a non-call. That's why everybody in college football likes Pat Dye.
Yep, and he's always been a stand-up guy. We've done games in the past with him where he's been involved in controversial endings on the losing side, but never ducks the issue. 13-7. Florida State wins it in New Orleans. We'll be back.